Chapter 257. It looks like a pair of black crystal wings. The bow is transparent, but inside it, there is a star-like glow. The first time someone sees it, they will have this thought in their mind. Elegant. Beautiful. Full of charm. Seeing such a beautiful bow for the first time, Kikin Taidaku was stunned. He stared at the elegant bow and couldn't move his eyes away. Even the black ball of light in his hand almost couldn't be maintained. That was the meteor knight that had repeatedly achieved merit. Wu Yan raised the meteor knight and stroked the body of the bow. The meteor knight is beautiful. Even Wu Yan, the owner, has the urge to touch it every day. Wu Yan said to Kikin Taidaku while touching the meteor knight. You know what? Actually, I have a headache when I face you. Kikin Taidaku flinched and he looked away from the meteor shower. He looked at Wu Yan and he coldly sneered. What's the matter? Are you regretting it now? Too bad, do you think I will let you go? Glancing at Kikin Taidaku, Wu Yan shook his head with a smile. He raised his head and he continued. Your intangible matter can create new substances, not ordinary substances or undiscovered substances, but substances that didn't exist in this world to begin with. By creating these substances, you can set the physical and chemical properties of these substances. Kikin Taidaku frowned and looked at Wu Yan coldly. He was confused. He didn't understand why Wu Yan would explain his ability at a time like this. By creating dimensional substance that doesn't belong to this world and giving it properties, you can control it to fly, defend, and attack. You can even create strong winds, shockwaves, and light beams. From a certain perspective, you can be considered omnipotent. Dimensional substance. Kikin Taidaku felt irritated when he saw Wu Yan talking to himself and analyzing his ability. He even felt uneasy. Kikin Taidaku suppressed his irritation and said coldly to Wu Yan. You know it pretty well. That's right. My dimensional substance is that powerful. Even if you know it, what's the point? What's the point of saying all this? Psychological warfare? I'm sorry, but you are destined to fail. It's very powerful. Dimensional substance. Kikin Taidaku's expression darkened as he listened to Wu Yan's monologue. He can see that Wu Yan has no intention of talking to him. Kikin Taidaku was furious. He threw the black orb at Wu Yan. The black balls fell from the sky, bringing with them traces of sparks. They looked like two black meteorites, at least on the surface. And the power, even if it was not as strong as a meteorite, was definitely enough to crush a person into powder. Wu Yan only glanced at the two black balls with such terrifying power. Then, a black wave that looked like a giant wave of the ocean suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yan from the distant ground and rolled in front of him. The huge black wave rolled and surged. As the iron sand wave surged, countless iron sand swords began to condense with a purpose, pointing at the attacking black ball from afar. Accompanied by the sound of wind breaking, the iron sand swords were thrown out. In the vast night sky, the swords were divided into two groups, shooting towards the two black balls respectively. The black orbs and the black swords met. One side had countless swords while the other side only had two. However, the meeting was like the meeting of two powerful armies. The black orbs were two generals who had always been victorious. They moved freely in the huge army formed by the black swords. Wherever they passed, the soldiers formed by the black swords were like fragile glass, smashed into pieces. In a short period of time, the soldiers formed by the black swords were retreating in defeat. Their numbers were also decreasing. As long as they were hit by the two victorious black balls, they would immediately scatter into primitive iron sand and be toyed around by the two victorious generals. If the black balls were like two victorious generals who had fallen into an army's lair, then the terrifying number of black swords would be like ants that were about to bite an elephant. They would bite down on the two powerful but clumsy elephants one after another. Even if the charging ants were trampled to death by the elephants, new ants would immediately replace them from behind. Gradually, under the biting of numerous ants, the two elephants began to lose strength. Even though the number of ants that died under their feet was uncountable, the new ants were slowly nibbling away at their lives bit by bit, slowly bringing them to their end. In the end, the victorious general killed an entire army and died from exhaustion. In the end, the ants finally bit the huge elephant to death, but they themselves also died out. In the end, only the masters of the two armies were left. They faced each other without any injuries. However, one of them was calm while the other looked a little pale. Wu Yan smiled faintly. His golden pupils landed on Kikin Taitaku. Looking at the layer of black dark matter in front of him, Wu Yan said softly, "Kikin Taitaku, do you know why I said so much?" Wu Yan didn't seem to want Kikin Taitaku to answer. He immediately said something that made Kikin Taitaku laugh. "That's because I can't do anything to your dark origin substance either." Wu Yan shook his head helplessly. Even Mujino Shizuri's meltdown atom and my super railgun couldn't tear apart your layer of dark matter. What can I do? Kikin Taitaku's expression changed when he heard Wu Yan say that his railgun couldn't tear through your dark matter. He seemed a little upset that he was afraid of Wu Yan's railgun. Wu Yan noticed Kikin Taitaku's upset expression. Wu Yan smiled and said, "Looks like you're really scared by Mikoto's railgun." Wu Yan raised the meteor shower in his hand. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. "This meteor knight was originally my trump card, but I didn't expect to use it twice in just a few days. Now, I'm taking it out again." How ironic, Wu Yan smiled as he looked at Kikin Taitaku's expression. His lips curled into a cold smirk. "Do you know why I said so much?" Kikin Taitaku flinched and he frowned. Wu Yan snickered when he saw this. "That's because I'm trying to lure you away from the ground." Kikin Taitaku was shocked. At this moment, he finally realized that under his feet, not far from the layer of dark elemental substance that wrapped around his body, there was a thin layer of iron sand supporting him, slowly lifting him up. When Kikin Taitaku looked down at his feet, Wu Yan raised the meteor shower in his hand. Starlight began to gather in the night sky. Silver light began to appear. An arrow made of starlight condensed into the shape of an arrow, be it the super railgun, the iron sand, or the analysis of the dark matter, all of them are meant to lead you to a higher place. A cold voice sounded. Following that was a flash of starlight and a terrifying aura that caused Kikin Taitaku's expression to change. It came from the meteor shower and enveloped his body. Because, the arrow was pointed at the pale-faced Kikin Taitaku. Wu Yan's eyes narrowed. "If I use my meteor shower in Academy City, it will destroy the entire city." A meteor was released from the meteor shower. It pierced through space, through heaven and earth. At the same time, it pierced through Kikin Taitaku's weak body. When Kikin Taitaku regained his senses, the dark matter in front of him had disappeared. All that was left was a bloody hole in his chest. Chapter 258. Starlight exploded in the dark night sky. The arrow that turned into a meteor pierced through the sky and shot towards the distant horizon. After an unknown amount of time, a soft sound rang out and a destructive energy spread out from the distant horizon. It passed through the void and ripples appeared on the horizon. As the ripples spread out, the clouds in the night sky were like ice cubes placed in high temperature. They were quickly extinguished at a speed visible to the naked eye. The ripples were like waves of fire that swept across the entire sky. In an instant, the temperature of the land seemed to have increased by quite a bit. Under the night sky, Academy City. Countless people stood foolishly on the streets. They lifted their heads and looked at the night sky. The starlight was like a beautiful firework exploding. Even though they were separated by the distance between heaven and earth, the powerful pressure still caused everyone to feel a wave of helplessness in their hearts. In the huge Academy City, the people who raised their heads to look at the night sky were all silent. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, as if they didn't understand what this firework, which was so beautiful that it made people unable to have the heart to appreciate it, was. Maintaining his shooting posture, Wu Yan looked through the bloody hole in Kikin Taitaku's chest. He looked at the sky where the arrow was shot and felt the familiar power. He slowly put down the meteor shower in his hand. Ugh, ugh. Kikin Taitaku was like a drowning man. He made a soft sound but his throat didn't have any strength. Kikin Taidaku was like a robot. He slowly lowered his head. The center of his body had already disappeared, but not a single drop of blood flowed out. Inside the huge bloody hole, the surroundings had already been burnt to a crisp, not allowing the liquid in his body to flow out. Kikin Taidaku opened his eyes wide when he saw the bloody hole. He reached out his hand as if he wanted to touch it. An intense pain came from his chest, as if he had only just realized it. Kikin Taidaku looked at Wu Yan, who is not far away from him. His mind is filled with pain. Regret flashed through his mind. He regretted that he underestimated his opponent. He regretted that he provoked them. Unfortunately, Wu Yan's system doesn't have an item like the regret potion. Kikin Taidaku couldn't find a potion like this to give him a second chance. Kikin Taidaku's consciousness is fading away. Kikin Taidaku's outstretched hand went from his chest to Wu Yan's position as if he wanted to grab hold of something. Kikin Taidaku slowly closed his eyes as he lowered his outstretched hand. The wings on Kikin Taidaku's back turned into feathers and scattered. Kikin Taidaku's life force was completely gone. His body was falling down, but before he could fall 1 meter, he was caught by a hand. Wu Yan flipped his hand and the meteor shower disappeared. His golden eyes turned red. Wu Yan wiped the sweat off his forehead and let out a sigh of relief. Wu Yan and Kikin Taidaku were having a good time. Wu Yan was having a good time. It was the opposite. Wu Yan was having a hard time. He could find a way to counter Accelerator's reflection, but Kikin Taidaku's dark matter was just like what Wu Yan said. He couldn't do anything about it. The layer of dark matter that can decompose anything has restricted all of Wu Yan's attacks. Wu Yan couldn't hurt Kikin Taidaku at all. If he didn't have the meteor shower, Wu Yan could only fight to a draw with Kikin Taidaku. Luckily, he had the meteor shower, so he could destroy Kikin Taidaku with brute force like Mikoto. But Wu Yan smiled as he looked at Kikin Taidaku's body. Sure enough, it was a wise decision to exchange for the meteor shower. On the ground, Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku raised their heads and looked at the beautiful meteor shower in the sky. They were stunned. What happened to that guy? Frenda couldn't find the right words to describe what she saw, so she wisely changed the topic to Wu Yan. Finally, the stunned Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku woke up. He should be super fine. It's been so long. If that guy was super killed, the dark matter would have returned a long time ago. Takitsubu Riku nodded when she heard Kinohada Sayai's words. She looked at the sky and clenched her fists. After going through the gates of hell, Takitsubu Riku seemed to have changed a lot. Kinohada Sayai and Frenda couldn't pinpoint the exact changes, but they felt that Takitsubu Riku seemed to have become more hardworking. She's no longer the tired and sleepy person she used to be. Instead, she treasured the time she had when her eyes were open. Only Takitsubu Riku herself knew that she didn't just change her appearance. Her heart changed a lot as well. At least, a certain guy who took advantage of the situation and played the hero to save the damsel in distress has made Takitsubu Riku very concerned. Hey, Kinohada, Takitsubu. Frenda suddenly turned to look at Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku. She asked them sneakily. Should we be like Mujino and run away? Hearing this, Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku shook their heads without hesitation. Frenda was surprised and asked, why? Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku choked. They didn't know why, but they just didn't want to run away. Seeing this, Frenda couldn't help but get angry and jumped 2 to 3 meters high. If we don't run away now, when the dark matter returns, we won't be able to escape anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, Frenda saw Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku's expression change to one of joy as they looked behind her, as if there was something worth being surprised about. Frenda grabbed her beret and said anxiously, "Why don't you guys say something? Just run with me." Hearing Frenda's words, Kinohada Sayai and Takitsubu Riku retracted their joy and looked at Frenda with a weird expression. There was even a hint of pity in their eyes. Frenda couldn't help but let out a strange, as she looked at Kinohara Sai and Takitsubu Riku's expression, she didn't know if they were scared out of their wits. "Where do you think you're going?" Before Frenda could ask, a voice came from behind her, causing her to stiffen. She swallowed the words she was about to say. Swallowing her saliva, Frenda laughed dryly. Hearing that familiar voice, she said embarrassedly, "It can't be." Kinohara Sai and Takitsubu Riku nodded at the same time, confirming one of Frenda's guesses. Cold sweat dripped down Frenda's face. Creaking sounds came from her neck as if she was a doll. Frenda turned her head with much difficulty and saw a face with a faint smile. A face with a smile yet not a smile, a face with cold sweat. The two faces looked at each other and didn't say anything for a long time. After a long while, Frenda smiled brilliantly and tilted her head. Her little fist lightly knocked on her head, and she closed her little eyes. Her tongue also stuck out mischievously, and she let out a cry. Coupled with her beautiful face, she was simply adorable to the extreme. But this move was mercilessly destroyed by a certain someone. He raised his hand and also knocked on Frenda's head. But this time it's not a light, but a heavy one. It's useless to act cute. Thus, a certain creature that was acting cute immediately cried out in pain, covered its head, and used its acting cute skill. With tears hanging from the corners of its eyes, it squatted on the ground. Chapter 259. Looking at Frenda, who is squatting on the ground and clutching her head with a teardrop at the corner of her eye, Wu Yan felt a sense of guilt and he couldn't help but turn his head away. He has to admit, at this moment, he was really touched by her cuteness. Kinohara Sai and Takitsubu Riku didn't seem surprised by Frenda's antics. They ignored Frenda, who was trying to act cute, as they looked at Wu Yan. Soon, they saw Kikin Taitaku's body in Wu Yan's hand. Kinohara Sai and Takitsubu Riku were stunned, even Frenda, who was squatting on the ground and sneaking glances at Wu Yan and Kikin Taitaku's body, had the same expression. You. Did you really take care of him? Kinohara Sai's mouth formed an O shape. She looked at Kikin Taitaku's body in disbelief. If even Kinohara Sai is like this, Takitsubu Riku and Frenda would be even more shocked. Kinohara Sai only heard about Kikin Taitaku's strength from Wu Yan, but Takitsubu Riku and Frenda have personally witnessed and experienced how terrifying Kikin Taitaku is. Even the LV5 Mujino Shizuri couldn't harm a single hair on his body, but now, he was killed by this man in front of them. Furthermore, this person was also completely unharmed. Just how strong is this person? At this moment, Takitsubu Riku and Frenda were so shocked by this reality that their minds went blank. It's cute to see the three beauties in a daze in front of him, but at the same time, it makes him feel helpless. That's how he feels. Looking at the three girls' exaggerated expressions, he couldn't help but sigh. Do you need to do this? Rolling his eyes at Kinohara Sai, Takitsubu Riku and Frenda, Wu Yan casually threw Kikin Taitaku's body on the ground. Kikin Taitaku's body fell to the ground mercilessly. At the same time, it hit the hearts of the three girls, causing their hearts to beat violently. Looking at the two gaping holes in Kikin Taitaku's chest, the three women couldn't help but shiver. It wasn't that they hadn't seen a crueler death, but how could this be compared? Kikin Taitaku, who killed Mujino Shizuri, was different from those who died in the past. There was no comparison at all. Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku looked at each other. They don't know what kind of expression they should use to face this reality. Wu Yan looked around and frowned. He asked the three girls, "Where is Mujino Shizuri?" The three girls acted like they didn't hear anything. They were still staring at Kikin Taitaku's body as if they were trying to determine the authenticity of the body with their eyes. Very silly. Sighing helplessly, Wu Yan mercilessly gave them a flick on the head. After 3 moans of pain, there were 3 more Mo creatures kneeling on the ground and acting cute. "I say, where is Mujino Shizuri?" This time, the 3 girls finally heard Wu Yan's words. They looked at each other and finally, Kinohara Sai raised her hand weakly. "Mujino, she ran away, ran away." Wu Yan was stunned. He looked at the 3 girls in shock. When he saw that they didn't seem to be lying, he shrugged helplessly. Seeing this, Frenda smiled embarrassedly. Mugino didn't believe that you could deal with the dark matter. So when you flew away with the dark matter, Mugino took the opportunity to escape. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. He knew that he was looked down upon, but he didn't expect Mugino Shizuri to be so good at seizing opportunities. Wu Yan didn't really care. Mugino Shizuri wasn't his target anyway. She may look good, but with her temper, Wu Yan didn't dare to compliment her. She just ran away and didn't care about you guys? Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku's face fell as they helplessly said, yeah, when Mugino left, she didn't even say goodbye to us and just left. This Mugino Shizuri, she really wasn't someone who cared about her companions. If that's the case. Wu Yan crossed his arms and glanced at Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku from the corner of his eyes. He smiled at them and said, well then, come home with me. Huh? Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku were stunned for a moment before regaining their senses. Before the battle, Wu Yan mentioned the reward. The three girls blushed and Kinohada Sayai jumped up. Who wants to go home with you? You super pervert. I'm super telling you. Don't you dare have any ideas about us. Oh. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes. So, you guys want to go back on your word? Kinohada Sayai choked and shouted, that's what Mugino Chao promised you, not us. Wu Yan looked at Kinohada Sayai in surprise. Aren't you guys her subordinates? She sold you guys to me. Are you going to refute? Is the dark ops really that transparent? This time, Kinohada Sayai was speechless. The dark ops have done a lot of human trafficking. If they were transparent, those people who were traded would have been long gone. But, human trafficking isn't something that can be written in black and white. In the past, human trafficking was done directly. If the goods didn't comply, the dark ops in charge of selling them would clean them up. Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku are dark ops members. They didn't think that Mugino Shizuri would clean them up for Wu Yan. Thus, Kinohada Sayai decided to act shamelessly. That's right. Without our consent, don't even think about us following you. Wu Yan was speechless. Kinohada Sayai acted so shamelessly, what else can he do? But, in terms of shamelessness, Kinohada Sayai found the wrong opponent. Rubbing his chin, Wu Yan smiled and said, so, as long as you guys agree, there won't be any problems? Kinohada Sayai paused for a moment before putting her hands on her waist and said, of course, since we've super agreed, there won't be any problems. Wu Yan nodded in satisfaction. His eyes turned to Frenda and narrowed. A hint of threat filled his eyes, causing Frenda to tremble. Hey, you'll agree, right? Wu Yan beamed. Frenda felt a strong sense of danger when she saw his smile. She felt a strong sense of danger coming her way. Trembling, Frenda crossed her arms and wanted to refuse. But, looking at Kikin Taitaku's corpse on the ground in Wu Yan's eyes, she couldn't find the courage to do so. Under Wu Yan's gaze, Frenda forced a smile that was uglier than crying and said, of course, it's my honor to be able to follow my lord. Wu Yan laughed in victory while Kinohada Sayai looked at Frenda with a dumbfounded expression. She wanted to cry but no tears came out. How could she forget about this super cowardly girl? Kinohada Sayai glared fiercely at Frenda, puffed out her chest and said loudly, even if Frenda surrenders, Takitsubu and I will never agree. That. Takitsubu Riku sneaked a glance at Wu Yan and raised her hand weakly. She said timidly, that. What's wrong? Takitsubu? Kinohada Sayai looked at her strangely. Wu Yan and Frenda also looked at her at the same time. Looking at the three pairs of eyes on her, Takitsubu Riku closed her eyes and mustered her courage to say, I also agree, what? Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and even Wu Yan shouted in shock. Kinohada Sayai reacted and stomped her feet. Takitsubu. Are you super crazy? You super pervert. I'll super eat you up. Takitsubu Riku blushed and glanced at Wu Yan. She lowered her head and didn't say anything. She tapped her fingers together and looked like a shy girl. The three of them were stunned. Is this still the same powerless beauty? Chapter 260. One has to admit that Takitsubo Riku is a great beauty. Not only is she beautiful, even her figure is far beyond the reach of these two cute girls. It's just that she's always in a daze and can't even squeeze out a bit of energy. It makes people feel tired for her, but she still managed to get the title of a powerless beauty, and yet, such a girl is acting so shy right now. Not to mention Kinohara Sayai and Frenda who are familiar with Takitsubo Riku, even Wu Yan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Dumbfounded, other than dumbfounded, there's nothing else to be dumbfounded about. Takitsubo Riku's current state is clearly that of a young girl in love. And the person in love seems to be himself. Wu Yan's heart is already rippling. Even he himself doesn't know when he became this godly character. Could it be the protagonist's aura? Or the Crystal Palace's aura? But with this, Frenda and Takitsubo Riku both agreed. What's left is, how is it? Little girl, they've all agreed. Wu Yan grinned at Kinohara Sayai. Now, you're all alone. Hearing this, Kinohara Sayai clenched her fists tightly. Looking at Frenda and Takitsubo Riku, her eyes were filled with resentment for not living up to her expectations. You two are really crazy. Don't you know what this super pervert is planning? Kinohara Sayai gnashed her teeth as she glared at Wu Yan. Looking at his smiling face, Kinohara Sayai really wanted to punch him. She wanted to punch him in the face, especially when she's wearing a nitrogen armor. She wanted to make sure his face turns into a peach blossom. But when she said, planning, Kinohara Sayai's face turned red. Because she was the first one to experience that planning, even though it was only her first kiss, Takitsubo Riku's face also turned red, causing the other three to be stunned once again. Hearing Kinohara Sayai's words, Takitsubo Riku didn't say anything and continued to lower her head. From the looks of it, she didn't intend to change her mind. Frenda opened her mouth as if she had some objections, but after some hesitation, she swallowed her words back into her stomach. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. If possible, Frenda really wanted to shout at Wu Yan, "Can you not look at me with such a fierce gaze?" Looking at Takitsubo Riku and Frenda going silent again, Kinohara Sayai stomped her feet in anger. She was about to cry. She never knew that her two best friends were so easily taken in by someone else. Kinohara Sayai could only droop her shoulders dejectedly as she screamed, "A hit's up to you. In any case, I will never agree to it." Wu Yan raised his eyebrows, his pair of wine-red eyes moved closer to Kinohara Sayai's face as he said in a strange tone, "Oh? Is that so? Looks like I didn't leave a deep impression on you." Kinohara Sayai jumped in fright at the sight of those sinister eyes. She quickly backed away. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Kinohara Sayai's face turned bright red. Biting her lips, Kinohara Sayai threw caution to the wind and shouted. "Since even if I super follow you, I'll be super eaten by you sooner or later, and I'll be super eaten whenever I want to be super eaten. Why don't we super do it now and get everything over with?" Wu Yan almost fell to the ground. He looked at Kinohara Sayai helplessly. This Kinohara Sayai, isn't she a little too spicy? Sure enough, the biggest problem is this Kinohara Sayai. With Takitsubo Riku, Frenda, and Jusama who is also one of Wu Yan's targets, the requirements for Mission 3 are met. However, if he let Kinohara Sayai go, he wouldn't be Wu Yan anymore. Wu Yan immediately took a few steps closer to Kinohara Sayai. Kinohara Sayai was shocked. She reflexively retreated, but very quickly, a pair of large hands pulled her petite body into a familiar embrace. Kinohara Sayai was shocked. She immediately swung her small fist towards Wu Yan's face. However, a small electric current flowed from Wu Yan's hand into her petite body, causing her body to go numb and her hand to stop. Wu Yan pretended to shake his head regretfully and said, "All right, since you said so, I'll reluctantly agree to your request." Hearing this, Kinohara Sayai was stunned. When she regained her senses, Kinohara Sayai said in disbelief, You can't really be planning to." Wu Yan let out a sinister laugh. One of his hands quickly slid down. Very quickly, a petite petal fell into Wu Yan's palm, causing Kinohara Sai and the two girls beside her to be shocked. Frenda shrunk her head timidly and said embarrassedly, in the end, he can't be thinking of doing Kinohara here, right? Even though this sentence was soft, it was heard by Kinohara Sai, who was in the middle of hugging her sister. Her body stiffened, she looked at the silent Wu Yan and exploded. Super, let go of me. You super pervert. Super pervert. Super H creature. Super, let go of me. Kinohara Sai struggled with all her might. She had already chosen to forget the fact that she had never been able to escape from Wu Yan's embrace before. It was obvious that Frenda's words had scared her. Even though she said to settle everything with one shot, if Kinohara Sai really wanted to do it, how could Kinohara Sai possibly do it? Not to mention in a place like this, with two pairs of bright eyes watching them. Furthermore, even though she hadn't known Wu Yan for long and the number of times she had met him can be counted with one hand, Kinohara Sai had already seen through Wu Yan's true colors. If she really pissed him off, he would definitely do something like this. If Wu Yan knew about his image in Kinohara Sai's heart, he would definitely find a piece of tofu and kill himself. One has to admit that Kinohara Sai's eyes were bright as snow. Wu Yan rubbed Kinohara Sai's breasts, causing her to lose some of her strength in her struggle. He looked at Kinohara Sai with disdain and laughed. What's wrong? Kinohara Sai, didn't you say that you wanted to go straight to the point? Why are you backing out now? Hearing that, Kinohara Sai was furious. Then why don't you super choose a place for me? Wu Yan shook his head and said righteously. How can I do that? My wives are still waiting for me to go back for dinner. It's already dark, where would I have the time to choose a place? Kinohara Sai was stunned. You already have super wives at home and you're still thinking about taking advantage of us? How can there be such a shameless person like you in this world? Wu Yan raised an eyebrow and rubbed Kinohara Sai's breasts. With a serious face, he said. Of course, the more wives I have, the better. Kinohara Sai's veins were popping out as she endured the burning sensation from her breasts. She stopped talking to this shameless person and started a new round of struggle. But soon, she froze again. The reason, of course, was the hand that moved away from her breasts and started moving towards her breasts. Before Kinohara Sai could even make a sound, a familiar warmth had already wrapped itself around her petite little bunny. With a forceful squeeze, all the words that Kinohara Sai wanted to say turned into a soft moan. Frenda and Takitsubu Riku had already covered their eyes with their hands. Their faces were bright red, but the gaps between their fingers were wider than their mouths. Inside her originally loose clothes, a large hand was moving back and forth between her breasts, causing her clothes to bulge. Kinohara Sai's face was already flushed red. When the other hand reached towards her breasts, Kinohara Sai couldn't help but scream. I got it. I super got it. I agree. I super agree. Super, stop right now. You should have done this earlier. Wu Yan stopped moving his hands and shook his head. He didn't even try to hide the delight in his voice as he let go of Kinohara Sai. After regaining her breasts, Kinohara Sai fell to the ground with a pale face. Chapter 262. Academy City Number 3, Dark Matter. Kakin Taidaku has been defeated by the newly promoted LV5, Lightning Flash, Wu Yan. From today onwards, the LV5 rankings of Academy City have been reorganized. Wu Yan of Lightning Flash is ranked 3rd. Dark Matter, Kakin Taidaku has been removed from the rankings. When this news appeared on the screen of the airship, the 3 million people of Academy City were in an uproar. Among them, the ones who were in the most uproar were the research institutions in Academy City, as well as the ladies of Tokuwadai. At this time, those research institutions in Academy City, those scientists with developed brains, once again, bombed the brains that they were so proud of until they went blank. The fact that an 8th LV5 had appeared in Academy City was enough to cause a ruckus among the so-called experts. After all, developing superpowers was one of their main jobs. The appearance of another LV5 not only meant that Academy City's strength had improved, it also meant that the research institutions that were looking for research topics all day long had another research target. In the past, whenever a LV5 appeared in Academy City, the research institutions would quarrel until they couldn't get away with it. It was possible that they would even fight or secretly scheme against the LV5, and the reason was just to get a LV5 to do research, but this time, they didn't, because they were already in a frenzy. When these experts broke their heads and still couldn't find any information about Wu Yan, countless information about Wu Yan was placed on their desks. At this time, they were shocked to find that this so-called LV5 was actually just a LV0. And it was a LV0 that was judged by the attainment judgment to be useless for the rest of his life. What did this mean? It meant that the railgun Misaka Mikoto, the current number 2 who broke the attainment judgment craze, was once again ignited. And it couldn't be more explosive. The fact that the railgun broke the attainment judgment and went from number 3 to number 2 was already enough to make them go crazy. But now, this Wu Yan seriously broke the attainment judgment from LV0 to LV5. Misaka Mikoto's example could be explained by, since they were both LV5, it was inevitable that the judgment would be wrong, but it was still LV5. However, Wu Yan's example could no longer be explained. The attainment judgment was a serious blow. Not only that, these experts also found out that Misaka Mikoto and Wu Yan who broke the attainment judgment were a couple. This was too much of a coincidence, so much so that they couldn't help but think that Misaka Mikoto might have a way to break the attainment judgment. Or maybe this Wu Yan had a way to break the attainment judgment. If that's the case, then wouldn't Academy City be able to mass-produce LV5s? Countless researchers went crazy. Later on, people kept coming to their door, trying to get Wu Yan or Mikoto to join their so-called research. Once they were rejected, they resorted to underhanded methods. Of course, these people were all sent away by Wu Yan to seek Yama's love. As for the missus of Tokuwadai, they were even crazier. Some of them even wanted to jump down from the Tokuwadai dormitory to prove that they weren't dreaming. How could they not go crazy? The scum that they looked down on, the scum that stole Misaka, Sama and Shokuhu-sama in their hearts, actually jumped up and became a LV5 that they looked up to. Furthermore, he defeated Kikin Taidaku and became the third LV5 in the ranking. How could the missus of Tokuwadai who wanted to chop Wu Yan into pieces every day accept this? Especially a certain black and white creature, no. This can't be real. That's scum. How can he be LV5? And he defeated the dark matter, just like Sis, he even took over Sis's previous ranking. This is so enviable. Ah. My Sis. She's getting further and further away from me. Ah. Sis. Then, this black and white creature's neck was broken by a dormitory supervisor for disturbing the peace of the dormitory. Then, it was thrown in front of Tokuwadai's door and turned into a corpse. When this news appeared on the airship, Shokuhu Misaki was in her dormitory. After hearing this news, Shokuhu Misaki covered her mouth and couldn't help but laugh. Arara, this is getting more and more interesting. Shokuhu Misaki who was in her dormitory was the first to hear this news. Then, Mujino Shizuri who was stumbling along a small path also saw the news on the airship. She stared blankly at the screen on the airship, not sure if it's because she can't believe it or because she's trying to figure out if there's any difference between the picture and the news. Number 3, Mujino Shizuri lowered her head. She couldn't help but recall the time when she went to look for Kikin Taidaku and tried to defeat him. She also recalled the time when she was crushed by Kikin Taidaku and almost lost her life. Mujino Shizuri couldn't believe that Kikin Taidaku, the one who almost killed her, was defeated by the person she hates the most. No. After seeing Kikin Taidaku's withdrawal from the ranking, Mujino Shizuri already guessed that Kikin Taidaku was killed by Wu Yan. Otherwise, Kikin Taidaku would have been pushed down to number 4 and she would have been number 5. Taking a deep breath, Mujino Shizuri lifted her foot and continued to walk forward with great difficulty. If one were to observe her closely, one would discover that her eyes were filled with unwillingness. In Wu Yan's house, Chuju and Mikoto were also stunned when they saw the news. Ikaro stood there quietly without saying anything. Only Astria cheered, "Master is on TV." And they looked at each other. How did Yen become number 3? Mikoto patted her own cheeks in shock, asking in disbelief. Who knows? Chuju frowned. We'll ask him when he comes back, Chuju, who said that didn't expect Wu Yen to bring them such a big surprise. When he comes back, Academy City is in a state of shock because of Wu Yan's promotion to number 3. Meanwhile, Wu Yan's side was stunned for a moment before calming down. Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku saw Kakin Taitaku's corpse being carried over by Wu Yen. Being able to kill dark matter, it's not surprising that Wu Yen became number 3. The reason why Wu Yen calmed down is because he's frowning. If he were to become the 3rd, it would mean that the fact that he had defeated Kakin Taitaku had already been known by others. Or more accurately, Alistair already knew about it. Wu Yen couldn't help but frown. It hasn't even been half an hour since he killed Kakin Taitaku. How did Alistair find out about it in half an hour? Hovering loop doesn't work on him anymore. However, with Alistair's methods, it's not hard for him to find out. Wu Yan's real question is, why did he send this message? Is he trying to tie me down to Academy City? He should know that it's pointless, or is it? Was Alistair trying to warn him? Was he trying to tell him that Alistair was keeping an eye on him? Since he can't figure it out, Wu Yen decided to stop thinking about it. Wu Yen knows his own limits, even though he has the advantage over Alistair with Meteor Shower. If he wants to compete with Alistair in terms of brains, he'll be courting death. At the very least, Wu Yen doesn't think he's as smart as Alistair, that freak. No matter what Alistair wants to do, he'll just have to deal with it. After all, he's not the only one on his side. Chapter 263. So you're the 3rd one? Mikoto smoothed her bangs and crossed her arms in front of her chest. She looked at Wu Yen and sighed. She really didn't expect Kakin Taitaku to die just like that. Well, I didn't think of this myself. Wu Yen scratched his cheeks. His wine-red eyes showed a hint of helplessness. He didn't expect to be the 3rd ranker in the first place. But didn't you say that the chairman of Academy City already knows of your existence? Why would he want you to be the 3rd one then? Mikoto asked curiously. If he really wanted you to be a LV5 in Academy City, shouldn't he have announced it earlier? Ma, I didn't think of that myself. Wu Yen grinned. He can only say the same thing as before. He has to admit that his brain isn't working that well. It's just that with Sis Cannon and Kaishu-sama with their high IQ and Ikaros with her off the charts, I'll just leave it to them to figure things out. I'm not alone after all. Mikoto also began to ponder over the implications of this matter. However, Hinajaku, who had been quietly waiting for the two to finish their conversation, suddenly pulled Mikoto's arm. Let's put this question aside for now. I'm more curious about. Hinajaku's yellow-green eyes flashed with a dangerous glint as she looked at Wu Yen. Her lips also curled into a dangerous arc as she raised her slender fingers and yelled. Who are they? Why are they here? The direction Hinajaku was pointing at was none other than Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. Wu Yan's smile froze for a second before he pretended to be calm. Oh, them? They're Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. I don't want you to introduce them. Chuju cut off Wu Yen with a hateful glare. I want to ask you, why did you bring 3 girls back when it's almost bedtime? Mikoto on the side also realized what the bigger issue is. She turned her head to look at Wu Yen and then at the 3 pretty girls. A blue and white electric current started flashing across her forehead. Wu Yan's smile didn't fade, but his back and clothes were drenched in sweat. This proves that Wu Yan's heart isn't as calm as it seems. For some reason, the system didn't share the contents of the 3rd quest with Hinajaku and Mikoto like it did with Accelerator last time. That's why Hinajaku and Mikoto still don't know that they have a 3rd quest that they love so much. Wu Yen didn't have the guts to tell Chuju and Mikoto directly. He couldn't possibly tell them that he brought these 3 cute girls back just to push them down. If he really did that, Wu Yen is sure that White Cherry and Taser will hit his head at the very next second. Kinohada Sayai and Frenda stood obediently at the side, watching the scene where the villain, in their hearts, is about to be blackened and chopped. Their faces were filled with unconcealable schadenfreude. It's Wu Yan's fault for forcing them. Kinohada Sai hated Wu Yan to the core. Even though Frenda was intimidated by Wu Yan's oppression, she was still gnashing her teeth in hatred. They were happy to see Wu Yan in trouble. They even hoped that Wu Yan would be chopped to death by the second girl, and the pink-haired girl, Takitsubu Riku, on the other hand, was looking at Wu Yan with a worried expression. She couldn't bear to see Wu Yan in trouble. Ikaros was the same as Takitsubu Riku. From a certain point of view, Ikaros and Takitsubu Riku did have some similarities. At least at this moment, they both hoped that they could rescue Wu Yan from his predicament. Of course, there were also those who were gloating along with Kinohada Sai and Frenda. A certain blonde glutton angel, Wu Yan was as anxious as an ant on top of a pot. Even though Wu Yan already had this thought when he decided to bring Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku to his house, but when it really came down to it, Wu Yan still felt that girls are precious, but life is even more precious. His eyes involuntarily glanced at Kinohada Sai and Frenda. When he saw the gloating expression on their faces, Wu Yan's face darkened. He cursed in his heart, but he didn't reflect on himself. Who's to blame the most for Kinohada Sai and Frenda's actions? Perhaps the two of them saw Wu Yan's glare. The gloating expression on their faces intensified. Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. While he gritted his teeth, an idea popped up in his mind, and Wu Yan hardened his heart. While Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku were stunned, Wu Yan looked at Chuju and Mikoto and pretended to be relaxed. The three of them are actually here to be maids. Maids, Chuju, Mikoto, Kinohada Sai, and Frenda all screamed in shock. It's as if they didn't hear maids, but fierce tiger, yeah. Wu Yan's face was full of smiles as he looked at Chuju and Mikoto. Look, our house is big enough, right? It's usually Ikaros who cleans the house. She's the only one taking care of such a big house. My heart aches just looking at her, so I invited the three of them. Chuju and Mikoto fell into deep thought. As for Ikaros, when she heard Wu Yan's words, her indigo eyes shone with a charming light. Anyone can see that Ikaros is very happy. As for Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, they were completely stunned. Looking at Wu Yan, who tried to justify himself by kidnapping them and treating them like maids, Kinohada Sai and Frenda almost went berserk. Even Takitsubu Riku couldn't help but feel regretful. She wondered if it was worth it to sell herself out. Chuju and Mikoto frowned as they looked at Kinohada Sai and the other two girls. Their eyes were filled with doubt. They're really here to be maids? Of course. Wu Yan replied without hesitation with a straight face. The three girls' hearts skipped a beat. Before they could say anything, Wu Yan turned to Frenda. Don't you think so? Frenda. When he said this, Wu Yan's eyes had an ominous glint as he stared straight at Frenda. Her delicate body trembled as she clutched her beret tightly. What schadenfreude, what rage, all of that vanished into thin air as her little head nodded furiously. Wu Yan nodded in satisfaction before looking at Takitsubu Riku. Don't you think so? Little Lee. When he said this, his eyes were filled with tenderness, causing Takitsubu Riku to blush and her heart to beat faster. In addition to the endearment of little Riku, Takitsubu Riku's face instantly turned red. She lowered her head and shyly nodded. Seeing that, Wu Yan smiled as if he got his way. He turned to Kinohada Sai, who was staring blankly at her companion, who sold herself out again, and smiled. Don't you think so? Little AI. When he said that, Wu Yan sized up Kinohada Sai's body. His eyes were filled with aggression, causing Kinohada Sai to feel as if a pair of large hands were caressing her body. An electric current flowed into her heart, causing her to almost fall to the ground. Looking at Wu Yan's deep gaze that was sizing her up, Kinohada Sai reflexively crossed her arms in front of her chest. However, she couldn't stop that gaze from invading her body. Kinohada Sai knew that if she dared to say no, then tonight, her pure body would be sacrificed. Thus, Kinohada Sai could only nod her head in grievance. This caused Wu Yan to finally reveal a victorious smile. At this point, it had to be said that a person could make such a difficult change in expression and gaze in such a short period of time, and could also be shameless to this extent. Li, how could the word harm be enough? Chapter 264. In the end, when Wu Yan thought that he had gotten away with it, the cruel reality shattered his naive fantasy. It also proved that good people have good karma and evil people have bad karma. When the crystal sword and iron sand sword came down on him, he finally realized how stupid he was. That so-called ingenious work of art might be able to fool the newcomers, but to think that he could fool Railgun and Kaishu-sama, who have been sleeping with him every day and have already seen through him? Stealing Big Brother Egg's words, "You're digging your own grave." Luckily, the kind Sis Cannon and Kaishu-sama are only playing the role of the hatchet goddess. Thus, when Wu Yan laid on the floor with a head full of bruises, the two girls let Wu Yan off the hook. Obviously, the two girls are just a little jealous of Wu Yan for bringing a girl home. In the end, Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsuba Riku still ended up staying in the wolf's den. It's unknown if Sis Cannon and Kao-sama knew about Wu Yan's wild ambition, or if they pretended not to know. In the end, the three women moved in as maids. However, a certain someone once again welcomed the delightful scene of being alone in an empty room. He was chased out of his room by Sis Cannon and Kao-sama. Even Ikaros was dragged away for what they called an all-night-long talk, so when Wu Yan saw Ikaros looking at him with a pitiful and unwilling expression while being dragged away, Wu Yan cried and laughed. Crying? Of course, he was crying about his miserable experience. He had 3 delicate wives, but he still had to play the drama of staying alone in an empty room. It must be said that sometimes, it was difficult to be a winner in life. As for laughing, of course, it's because he has other plans. His 3 delicate wives won't be able to eat tonight, but his 3 equally delicate future wives are waiting in the room for him to pamper them. As for a certain foodie, fine, Wu Yan has to admit that he has zero resistance towards blonde hair and big boobs. However, when he looked at Astria with a pitiful expression and got called an idiot by her blushing face before dashing back to her room, Wu Yan knew that there's nothing he can do about it here. Moreover, with that gluttonous angel's personality, if he were to touch her room, it was guaranteed that all the girls in the room would come and watch. Thus, Wu Yan decisively abandoned her. As for Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsuba Riku, Kinohada Sayai is definitely at her wit's end. This lowly is already dissatisfied with him for forcefully abducting her. She wants nothing more than to find a chance to add insult to injury in front of Mikoto and Hinajuku and push him onto the chopping block. If he dares to enter her room right now, then, Kinohada Sayai would be more than happy to be the same as Astria. She would turn into the type of girl who would scream and scream when she meets a certain wolf. Then, she would happily watch the scene of Wu Yan being butchered. Thus, I pass for now. As for Takitsuba Riku, have to say, when he thought of Takitsuba Riku, Wu Yan's heart fluttered. With that girl's current favorability towards him, pushing her down wouldn't be a problem. Moreover, Takitsuba Riku's figure is the best among Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and himself. In fact, in this family, she's probably in the top 3. That's why he's still interested in pushing down Takitsuba Riku. Wu Yan's heart that can't stand the test of time. However, after thinking about it seriously, he shook his head and decided to pass. Towards this girl who took the initiative to be with him and who has the highest favorability towards him, Wu Yan mysteriously felt pity for her. Or perhaps, it should be said, of course, the best should be saved for the last. Thus, a certain high school student with a lowly body was lucky enough to be chosen by Wu Yan. But, are you sure you're not making up all those excuses just to have a taste of a pure lowly? Night, when the small house was completely plunged into darkness, the sound of light breathing could be heard from every room. A certain wolf's room door opened. Poking his head out, he sneaked a glance at Chuju and Mikoto's room. Wu Yan's lips curled into a smug smile. Then, he looked towards Frenda's room. Wu Yan tiptoed towards Frenda's room. Right now, he has the aptitude to be a thief. Furthermore, this is his own home. His heartbeat quickened. With Wu Yan's personality, of course he wouldn't be nervous about the impending push down. Right now, he's just excited. this scene is like picking a flower. For some reason, Wu Yan felt all sorts of excitement. One couldn't help but sigh at his lustful and self-righteous heart. At this moment, Wu Yan was once again glad that he has Mikoto's ability. The electromancer ability is indeed very convenient. Whether it's hacking the internet or picking locks, Wu Yan would have to put in a lot of effort if he didn't have Mikoto's ability. But now, with just a grasp of the doorknob and a push of his ability, the tightly locked door opened to Wu Yan with a crisp sound. As the door opened, a certain cute blonde in pajamas hugging a pillow fell into Wu Yan's sight. Wu Yan's eyes lit up. The smug smile on his face turned into a sinister one, perhaps because Wu Yan didn't try to hide his actions. When Wu Yan entered the room, Frenda, who has been in the dark branch for quite some time, immediately noticed that her room was invaded. Her vigilance was honed through years of experience in the dark branch. She opened her eyes abruptly. There's a hint of suspicion in her eyes. She was wondering which bastard dared to trespass into this terrifying house. Furthermore, it's my room, it's not an exaggeration to call it terrifying. At least, in Frenda's eyes, other than the three of them, there's a second and a third person in this room. If this isn't terrifying, then what is? Of course, Frenda didn't know that the two girls who are really strong are the dull-looking Ikaros and the clumsy-looking Astria. When the intruder entered her line of sight, Frenda quickly realized who this fearless bastard is and why he's not afraid of death. Because this is his home. You. Frenda was stunned when she saw Wu Yan standing at the door smiling at her. She pointed at Wu Yan with her mouth wide open. You. The intruder is Wu Yan, who abducted them with ulterior motives. He even came in the middle of the night when everyone is asleep. Frenda only needed to turn her head a little to know what he's here for. However, Frenda wasn't happy at all after knowing the truth. Before she could recover from her daze, the figure standing at the door blurred and the door was closed. A pair of wine-red eyes met hers. Frenda jumped in fright and subconsciously took a step back. But she was quickly stopped by a pair of large hands. Yo, little Frenda, Wu Yan snickered as he lifted Frenda's chin. His wine-red eyes glowed with a demonic light. The heat in his eyes could be seen with the naked eye. Frenda's heart raced as her chest pounded. The sound of her heartbeat was very clear in this dark and silent environment. Looking at Frenda's cute face, Wu Yan lightly licked it as if he's the most lustful villain. He teased. Are you ready? He didn't ask for a reason, he didn't explain himself, he just asked her if she was ready. His intention was obvious enough. Frenda's body trembled and she started crying inside. She screamed in her mind like a madwoman. Why is it me? Chapter 265. When Frenda's soft body entered his senses, Wu Yan couldn't help but lick the corner of his lips. Wu Yan's heart was filled with eagerness. Frenda's body was, without a doubt, the smallest body he had ever tasted. Compared to Mikoto and Hinajuku, who were half lowly that had already outgrown their lowly shelf life, Frenda's body was that of a pure lowly despite being a high school student. Every geeky uncles have a grand dream in their heart, and that is to push down a cute lowly. Wu Yan may not be a geeky uncles, self-proclaimed, but at this moment, he suddenly understood the dream of a geeky uncles, self-proclaimed. Therefore, at this moment, Wu Yan's heart was filled with unprecedented excitement. Guards. There's a weird uncle here. Wu Yan couldn't help but put his hand on Frenda's shoulder. When Wu Yan put his hand on Frenda's shoulder, Frenda's body visibly trembled, and her face stiffened. Frenda's heart started beating faster and she pulled out a smile that looked worse than crying. Just when Wu Yan thought she was going to beg for mercy, the words that came out of her mouth made him choke on his own words. Why me? Takitsubu's figure is so much better than mine, and Kanuhada also has a pair of beautiful breasts. Why me? Frenda's face was filled with tears as she complained to Wu Yan. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Gently patting Frenda's soft back, Wu Yan smiled and said, "Little Frenda, don't underestimate your charm. You must know, many times, Mo is justice. And you, who have this secret, are the only one in the world." Hearing this, Frenda was dumbfounded. Listening to these words that clearly came from a different dimension, Frenda's head was filled with a well. At this time, he's still talking nonsense. But soon, Frenda was speechless again. Because this time, Wu Yan suddenly pressed her against him, and then her lips were blocked by a big mouth. With a loud bang in her head, Frenda's eyes widened. She could feel a tongue licking her small breasts. Frenda couldn't believe it. Every girl's first kiss is very important, very precious. Back then, the kiss came too fast, so fast that Frenda didn't have time to prepare. Frenda suddenly realized that such a precious thing was taken away in an instant. Moreover, this wasn't a normal kiss, this was the kind of deep kiss that only couples in love would have. Wu Yan's tongue easily broke through Frenda's teeth while she was still in a daze, tightly intertwining with her breasts. Frenda's eyes widened again, her tongue passively accepting Wu Yan's invasion. Their tongues intertwined, and under Wu Yan's lead, Frenda's body slowly went limp. Her tongue also slowly and uncontrollably took the initiative. However, this action was still too immature. Wu Yan, who was familiar with all kinds of kissing scenes, laughed in disdain, as if looking down on Frenda's kissing skills. However, Wu Yan was happy to let Frenda perform, so he relaxed his control over his tongue, savoring the taste of Frenda's breasts and enjoying her immature actions. Frenda didn't know what was wrong with her, but her tongue was moving uncontrollably. She wanted to stop, but she couldn't bear to let go of this wonderful feeling. Thus, she could only sit there and let her subconscious drive her along. After their lips parted, Frenda looked like she was drunk, her face flushed red and her body seemed to have no energy left. If Wu Yan didn't hold her, she would have been lying on the bed. After a few seconds, Frenda woke up from that strange feeling. She widened her eyes again, looking at Wu Yan in disbelief. However, this time, the disbelief was directed at herself. She never thought that kissing would be such a comfortable thing. Frenda immersed herself in it, but now, she couldn't believe that she was the one who took the initiative to entangle with his tongue. No. This wasn't me. I was forced. Frenda screamed crazily in her heart, but she didn't realize that her screams were getting weaker and weaker. At this time, Wu Yan gently pushed Frenda onto her own body, causing her to turn pale with fright. Feeling Wu Yan's weight on her petite body, Frenda struggled in her heart, and finally, please be gentler. I'm afraid of pain. Frenda shyly closed her eyes, preparing for the most important moment in her life. Wu Yan listened to Frenda's words in shock, looking at her tightly shut eyes. He suddenly laughed. He originally thought that he was going to force her again, then, Wu Yan's heart burned with lust, he couldn't wait. However, Wu Yan wasn't in a hurry to release his emotions. He moved his lips to Frenda's ear, licking her small earlobe. At the same time, he started to lightly touch her small *** through her clothes. Woo-woo. Frenda didn't expect Wu Yan to not invade her body right away. Instead, he started caressing her body gently. Frenda could feel a slight change in her body, even though there was a layer of clothes between them. The temperature of Wu Yan's hand and the action of touching her ** were all felt by her sensitive body, causing her to tense up. Whenever Wu Yan's hand touches her body, Frenda's body will heat up, and the ** he's touching will heat up even more. At the same time, there's a strange tingling sensation. Wu Yan's experience in this area has been proven many times. For someone like Frenda who's experiencing it for the first time, she can only let him do whatever he wants. How is it? Does it feel good? Wu Yan moved his head away from Frenda's ear, looking at her with a teasing look, as if he's planning to tease her. It feels so good. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Frenda subconsciously blurted it out, but when she realized what she said, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to die. What did I say? Wu Yan smiled proudly, continuing to touch Frenda's body. This time, his target was her ***, but when he placed his hand on a certain part of her body, he was a little surprised. It turns out, at some point in time, Frenda's thighs were already soaked. Wu Yan stared at Frenda blankly. He saw the intense pinkness on her body and her embarrassed expression. Only then did he realize something. Frenda was actually such a sensitive type. No way. Wu Yan pulled back his hand from Frenda's thighs, waving it in front of her face. You. Frenda's face couldn't get any redder. She's the one most familiar with her body condition. After seeing Wu Yan's hand, Frenda was even more embarrassed. She could only whimper twice to express her embarrassment. Wu Yan smiled, no longer teasing Frenda. Instead, under Frenda's panicked expression, he started unbuttoning Frenda's pajamas. Furthermore, he easily took off all of Frenda's clothes. With a faint gasp of surprise, the girl's body was completely exposed to Wu Yan's eyes, even though he doesn't know how many times he's seen a girl's body, but Wu Yan has to admit, it's just too exciting. It's different from Mikoto and Hinajuku's half-grown body. It's also different from Ikarosa's voluptuous body. This is a body that's not fully grown yet. Wu Yan's heart started pounding at the sight of it. From now on, the real show is about to begin. Chapter 266. Yu, lying on top of her own body, Frenda's small breasts were in disarray. Her face was flushed red and her blue eyes were misty. Clearly, she was in a daze. Frenda's heavy breathing showed her nervousness and uneasiness. Her originally flawless and petite body was now covered in sweat. She was trembling slightly as she slid on the surface of her body. She was clearly just a petite figure with no ups and downs, but at this moment, she was bursting with astonishing strength. Listening to Frenda's soft moans, Wu Yan smiled proudly. He seemed to be very proud of his teasing skills. He laid on top of Frenda's body and extended his tongue from her small breasts to her neck. Yu. Another sobbing sound came out of her mouth. Frenda's heart was filled with panic. She felt that her body no longer belonged to her. Frenda felt a little dizzy. Her body is very sensitive and under Wu Yan's teasing, she couldn't take it anymore. Her body started trembling as if she couldn't take it anymore. At this time, Wu Yan's tongue had already kissed her from her neck to her breasts. The girl's upper body was covered in a faint red. Wu Yan's mouth was dry as he smelled the scent of the most delicious delicacy. In the end, he couldn't take it anymore and sucked on the little cherry on the girl's breasts. Ah! Frenda couldn't help but cry out. She had never experienced such a situation before. Her heart was pounding furiously as moans continuously came out of her mouth. Under Wu Yan's relentless assault, Frenda's small body started trembling violently. She reached out a hand and pressed down on Wu Yan's head as if she's trying to stop him from leaving. Her other hand was clenched into a fist and placed on her lips, as if to prevent herself from making a sound. She even bit down on her index finger to prevent any sound from leaking out. However, it was all in vain. Even though she bit down on her index finger, she couldn't stop moaning and moaning, pleasuring Wu Yan who was roaming all over her body. As Wu Yan's movements got bigger and bigger, Frenda's little heart started to get flustered. She felt like her body was suspended in midair. That strange feeling made her feel all sorts of flustered. She wanted to push away the man on top of her, but her sensitive body disobeyed her command over and over again. She couldn't even muster up a bit of strength. Let alone pushing Wu Yan away, she couldn't even support her own body. If she wasn't lying on the bed right now, she probably wouldn't be able to get up. Under the control of her body, Frenda didn't resist Wu Yan's invasion. Instead, she twisted her body towards Wu Yan. It was as if she was the one who opened the door and allowed the man on top of her to do whatever he wanted to her. This made Frenda both angry and agitated. To sum it up, it was a pain in the ass. If Wu Yan knew what Frenda was thinking, he would definitely laugh evilly. Because, if you can't take it at this level, what are you going to do next? Very quickly, Wu Yan's hand reached for her nipple under Frenda's incredulous gaze. No. Wu. When those nimble fingers entered her body, Frenda's legs trembled. The rejection in her mouth turned into a painful yet joyful cry and tender moans. Under the touch of Wu Yan's fingers, the girl couldn't hold it in anymore. A small stream of water flowed out. This made Wu Yan laugh. How long has it been? Isn't she a little too sensitive? Frenda tightened her body once again, enjoying the feeling of emptiness and excitement. After the tide passed, her petite body landed on top of the bed. She panted softly, and couldn't help but let out a small moan that seemed to be lingering in the aftershock. And it was this little lowly moan that triggered Wu Yan's evil thoughts. His body suddenly moved downwards. His tongue flipped over Frenda's small hill. Crossing the smooth plains, he charged towards the hill that was already submerged by the stream. He charged straight into the enemy's closed door. Ah! Frenda's misty eyes suddenly widened. She let out a tender moan. Her originally relaxed body tensed up again. Feeling Wu Yan treating that place like this, Frenda quickly reached out and shouted at Wu Yan. Don't do that place. Wu Yan ignored her. He's never played this kind of trick before. In the past, he couldn't get any proof from Mikoto, Chuju and Ikaros. If it wasn't because he was rejected by Mikoto and Chuju, it was because when he lightly touched Ikaros, she was traumatized and gave up on the spot. This time, Wu Yan couldn't help but want to give it a try. Thus, amidst the petite squeals, Wu Yan's tongue barged in and tasted something different. Wu! Ah! Frenda's outstretched hand trembled violently and fell down heavily. She let out a heavy moan and squinted her eyes. Her petite body kept twisting, as if trying to break free from Wu Yan's grasp. Alas, it was useless again. The seemingly powerful enemy army had been completely defeated. Their weak side had been completely exposed. The enemy leader couldn't help but beg for mercy. However, Wu Yan's invincible army is currently in the middle of a killing spree. How could they possibly stop now? Ignoring Frenda's feeble pleas for mercy, the Five Fingers Mountain climbed up Frenda's body and lifted it up high, bringing it right in front of him. Frenda instantly panicked. She watched as her body was lifted up by Wu Yan and placed in Wu Yan's embrace. Frenda's heart hung high. At this time, Wu Yan's spearman was released. Feeling the hard body beneath her, Frenda panicked. In the end, the fear of her first experience won over the desire to break her rationality. Frenda begged for mercy, don't. I beg you, don't. However, this kind of begging only fueled Wu Yan's anger. Everyone knows that Lolas have 3 good qualities. Clear voice, tender body, easy to push down and whatnot. This high schooler hasn't shown any of those qualities yet. However, her tender body, Wu Yan has experienced it firsthand. In addition, her clear voice begging for mercy, Frenda's rationality is still on the verge of collapse, but Wu Yan's is the first to collapse. Looking at Frenda's petite frame, Wu Yan is a bit worried. Can such a small body fit all of this? However, this worry was quickly tossed to the back of Wu Yan's head. The enemy is already at his doorstep. If he retreats now, even Wu Yan himself will look down on himself. He pressed Frenda's petite body into his embrace. Frenda's body sank down under her panicked expression. Following a crisp sound, Frenda's petite body was completely pierced through after breaking through the first layer of obstruction. Ah! Frenda was like a wild horse that had been struck by lightning. She raised her neck and let out a long hiss that could not be compared to all the previous sounds. Her small face was filled with pain. Her 4 limbs tightly wrapped around Wu Yan's body. Frenda's eyes were filled with tears as she whined, don't move, it hurts. Hearing this, Wu Yan obediently stopped all his actions. Feeling the pressure of being tightly bound, he was so satisfied that he couldn't speak. After a long while, when Wu Yan felt that it was about time, Frenda twisted her body. Thus, Wu Yan smiled and began to move freely on this petite body. Frenda moaned, feeling the endless desire in her body. She closed her eyes and enjoyed the tidal wave of violent thrusts. She let out moans of pleasure. Chapter 267. Early in the morning, a ray of sunlight spilled into the room through the crack in the window. The curtains had already lost their function in the breeze. The sunlight shone into the room pleasantly and fell on the tightly shut eyes of the person who was sleeping, Wu Yan felt his comfortable dream being dispelled by the dazzling light. His sleepiness melted away like thin ice in an instant. Wu Yan gently opened his eyes. In the past, the first thing he did when he woke up was to stretch his body. This time, however, he didn't do so. Because, even without stretching his body, he is already very comfortable. Wu Yan moaned comfortably as he felt something tighten around him. Now that he's awake, Wu Yan naturally recalled everything that happened last night. Feeling his waist being hugged by a pair of petite arms and the smooth skin touching his body, Wu Yan chuckled and tightened his grip around the petite body lying on top of him. Wu Yan's movement woke Frenda up from her dream. She opened her eyes and a pair of sapphire blue eyes appeared in front of Wu Yan's eyes. Frenda naturally turned her head and raised a hand to rub her eyes. This action made her realize her current situation. Her consciousness was called back in an instant. She felt a sense of fullness in her body that she had never felt before. Frenda finally recalled everything that happened last night. Frenda's dazed face stiffened as she felt herself lying on top of a body. She slowly lifted her head and very quickly, a face with a faint smile entered her eyes. Frenda blankly stared at Wu Yan's face. She covered her face with her hands and sighed softly. In the end, why wasn't it a dream? Hearing this, Wu Yan also sighed and said to Frenda, "Indeed, I had a good dream." Frenda gritted her teeth as she listened to Wu Yan's infuriating tone. She wanted nothing more than to bite the skin right in front of her into a pile of minced meat. In her heart, she had already cursed Wu Yan 100 times. Tears streamed down her face. Even though Frenda already knew that she would be eaten alive by Wu Yan sooner or later, she really didn't expect this day to come so quickly. It's only been one night. In just one night, who knows how many times she has been eaten alive. Not even her bones are left. There are still so many days ahead, how can she survive this? The most unforgivable thing is that her body actually became dependent on the other party's violent treatment. Is there anything sadder than this in the world? Really? Really? As she thought about it, Frenda, who was crying in her heart, couldn't hold it in any longer. Even on the surface, tears started to flow down her cheeks. Coupled with her cute little face, it was truly a sight to behold. Looking at the kelp-shaped tear lines on her face that were the same as when he was abused by Hinajiku Mikoto yesterday, he smiled in a vengeful manner. This girl, she even dared to gloat over his misfortune yesterday. He straightened his body and sat up. Frenda, who was lying on top of him, was also passively pulled up into a straddle position. At this time, Wu Yan's *** is still inside Frenda's body. Therefore, with this movement and tug, Frenda immediately moaned as if her sensitive spot was poked. "What are you doing all of a sudden?" When she moaned, Frenda immediately recalled the countless times she begged for mercy last night. Countless times she was ignored by Wu Yan. Countless times she moaned like this. She was instantly angered. He forcefully pushed her down and still had so much fun playing with her. "Don't think that I won't lose my temper just because I'm on the receiving end." And so, Frenda chose to forget about Wu Yan's deterrence and yelled at Wu Yan. This yell also made Wu Yan raise an eyebrow. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile that made Frenda tremble in fear. Before Frenda could react, she felt Wu Yan's body move. Instantly, an indescribable electric current that she enjoyed countless times last night came from the deepest part of her body. Frenda moaned again. However, this was only the prelude to the storm. Therefore, this one shrug quickly became a lot more shrug. A blush crept up Frenda's fair face. Her petite body was tossed up and down by Wu Yan. Her long blonde hair bounced up and down with her body. Frenda couldn't help but start playing the song that made her feel ashamed and angry. Seeing Wu Yan's proud face, Frenda moaned and said with difficulty, You're still going." Hearing this, Wu Yan didn't slow down at all. He continued to toss her body and smiled nonchalantly. "Of course I'm still going. Do you think I can't do it? Aren't you underestimating me too much?" Indeed, Wu Yan hugged Frenda for an entire night. If it was the old Wu Yan, perhaps he wouldn't be able to do such a heroic thing. But don't forget, Wu Yan is now a true ancestor. With the increase in stamina and recovery, Wu Yan became a valiant general. Even Wu Yan didn't expect the true ancestor bloodline to give him such a surprise. This made Wu Yan rejoice that he chose the true ancestor bloodline back then. He made the right choice. Thinking of this, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile happily. He tossed her body even more frequently, and in return, Frenda moaned even more frequently. At this point, the sun shone down on the bed. Naturally, it also shone on Wu Yan and Frenda. Under the sunlight, Frenda felt a sense of shame. Her naked body was exposed under the sun. Frenda didn't feel good at all. Furthermore, they were doing this under the sun. Even if it was in her room, Frenda still felt a sense of shame. Grabbing Wu Yan's shoulders, Frenda started chanting. Her face was red as she forced out a few words with a high-pitched voice. You, it's already morning. Hearing this, Wu Yan didn't stop. Instead, he sped up. Frenda felt like she was struck by lightning. Seeing this, Wu Yan laughed. Morning? Good morning. Morning is when we men are the most energetic. This is the time to do it. Don't you think so, little Frenda? Frenda couldn't speak anymore. All the time she could speak was taken over by moans. She didn't have time to talk anymore and could only moan. Wu Yan chuckled as he continued to toss her petite body around. Listening to Frenda's bell-like moans, he closed his eyes and focused on enjoying the moment. So much so that Wu Yan didn't notice two figures outside the room. Chuju. Mikoto. Listening to the moans coming from Frenda's room, Hinajaku and Mikoto grit their teeth and looked at each other. They couldn't help but sigh, feeling a little sour in their hearts. Mikoto resisted the urge to flirt and said softly with hatred. I knew it. This Yen definitely has bad intentions for bringing these girls home. Chuju crossed her arms and sighed. Sigh. I should have known, but why didn't I let him in the room? If I let him in last night, maybe he wouldn't have. Towards the end, Chuju's face started to redden. Mikoto heard this and sighed helplessly. Indeed, if they let Wu Yan in last night, Wu Yan wouldn't have pushed down other girls. Chuju and Mikoto knew this very well. But for some reason, when they saw Wu Yan bring girls home, they couldn't think rationally and pushed Wu Yan into another girl's room. They looked at each other again and sighed. What bad luck. Chapter 268. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's house. Wu Yan looked at his living room. It looked like it was ravaged by a level 10 typhoon. The corner of his mouth twitched, he couldn't keep his cool. As for the creators of this scene, each of them had the attitude of, this has nothing to do with me, so I'm not concerned. They raised their heads to the ceiling as if to say, this has nothing to do with us. The three creators are Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. At this point, the three girls have changed into maid outfits and they are standing in front of Wu Yan. They look like young and pretty little maids. They don't even need to add on all kinds of cute points, they just naturally exuded from their bodies. Wu Yan, who is seeing the three girls in this way for the first time, had his eyes lit up. However, when he saw the scene of his living room being messed up by them, his wine-red eyes couldn't light up. Instead, there was only a faint trace of sadness in his eyes. Wu Yan started to regret. If he knew this would happen, he would have cleaned it himself. Why did he ask the three of them to clean the living room? Isn't this just asking for trouble? Well, you can't blame Wu Yan for this. Anyone who has three maids in maid outfits wouldn't choose to do the cleaning themselves. Luckily, Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria are out on the streets, or else. But Wu Yan didn't understand why Chuju and Mikoto would ask him to clean the house. Wasn't it always Ikaros who did it? Also, when they asked him to clean the house, why did they look like they had a grudge against him? Until now, a certain wolf still didn't know that because he had pushed down the lowly girl, his wife had already found out about it, maybe Chuju and Mikoto thought the reason Wu Yan pushed Frenda down was because they didn't allow Wu Yan to enter the room, so they didn't pursue the matter. They just asked Wu Yan to clean the house and dragged Ikaros away as a small punishment. What kind and lovable girls. I wonder if they would be heartbroken if they found out about Wu Yan's mission 3. As for Wu Yan, after he received the mission to clean the house out of nowhere, he didn't think much of it. After all, it's just cleaning the house, not Academy City. That's why these two girls are too kind. Wu Yan, on the other hand, is too naive. He had already forgotten how big this house is for him, Hinajuku, Mikoto, Ikaros, Astria, Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku to live in. How big is this house that can house all 8 of them? So, when Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria left the house, Wu Yan picked up a rag and scanned the size of his house. After a moment of daze, he decisively gave up on the idea of relying on himself. At this time, the 3 girls who just moved in yesterday, Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, naturally became Wu Yan's scapegoats. Using the reason that maids should look like maids as an excuse, Wu Yan made the 3 girls put on maid outfits, forced, and sat down leisurely, waiting for them to clean his house until it shines. However, Wu Yan soon realized that he was too naive. Looking at this ruined house, it's hard not to realize that he was wrong. Is this cleaning? This is clearly destruction, right? Yes, right? Yes, right? That's definitely it. Wu Yan flipped countless tables in his heart. He can't afford to be hurt. Is it because Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku don't know how to do housework? Maybe that's part of the reason, but more importantly, it's because the 3 girls are unhappy. No. Or rather, it's because 2 of them are unhappy. She was forcefully abducted and brought here, she was even taken advantage of. Yesterday, she was crowned as a maid, and today, she was sent here to clean the house. How can she live up to the great name of Kinohada Sayai, if she doesn't cause some destruction? Thus, Kinohada Sayai, who is unhappy in her heart, on the surface, on the other hand, she is obedient. She will wipe the floor, wipe the table, and wipe the chair. It's just that when she's doing something, Kinohada Sayai will attach a layer of nitrogen armor to her hands. Thus, when she wipes the floor will crack. When she wipes the table will fall apart. When she wipes the chair will say goodbye to her. If Kinohada Sayai is unhappy to this extent, Frenda is even more unhappy. Yesterday, she snuck into her room and pushed her on Twitter. This morning, she was still messing around with her. Yet, not long after she left her room, she was called to clean the house. She even had to wear maid outfits. Frenda, on the other hand, erupted in secret. At this moment, Frenda miraculously thought of the same thing as Kinohada Sayai. Thus, this house suffered a calamity. Frenda doesn't know Kinohada Sayai's nitrogen armor, but when it comes to destruction, as the explosive girl, how could she lose to Kinohada Sayai? She gently placed a few thin wires on the floor, the table, and the chair. Then, she gently tapped on them, thus, the floor, table, and chair, after shaking for a while, they cracked and fell apart. As for Takitsubu Riku, actually, she's just a bystander. Looking at Kinohada Sayai and Frenda, who are looking at each other, as well as Takitsubu Riku, who is lowering her head in embarrassment, Wu Yan slapped himself on the head. He wants to cry, but no tears come out. I say, just how much hatred do you 2 have for this house? Hearing that, Kinohada Sayai and Frenda snorted and turned their heads away. Takitsubu Riku panicked and looked around, as if she didn't want to see an argument. Wu Yan sighed helplessly. He can roughly guess that these 2 cute girls are purposely causing destruction. Rather than saying that they have hatred for this house, it's more accurate to say that they have hatred for him. But, this house is innocent. Even if you don't want to stay, we still want to stay. But, in the end, it's still his fault. What do you mean it's his fault? It's his fault. Kinohada Sayai and Frenda's reaction is only natural. Forget it, I'll just treat it as a little girl complaining. Patting his cheeks, Wu Yan said to the 2 ladies. I say, since you've done the destruction, your anger should be gone by now, right? Chuju and the rest should be back soon. It's time to clean things up properly, right? Two cold snorts resounded in response to Wu Yan, and two faces turned to the other side. Takitsubo Riku instantly felt awkward. She didn't know what to do. Wu Yan's lips twitched. He really didn't know what to say. After trying his best to persuade the two ladies, all he got was cold snorts, indicating that he's still angry. The two ladies didn't even bother to look at Wu Yan, causing Wu Yan to be furious. These two girls, are they asking for a lesson? But at this moment, the big hall is still waiting for someone to clean it up. Wu Yan can only resist the urge to teach these two cute things a lesson. He tried to persuade the two girls, but unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. If this continues, even with Takitsubo Riku's help, he won't be able to clean up before Chuju and the rest return. What should I do? Slapping his forehead with a headache, Wu Yan looked at the three maids in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. If only there was a capable maid, of various meanings, that would be great. But, who has the ability to clean up the entire living room in an instant? Hee, unless time can stop. Such a thought flashed through his mind. Wu Yan was stunned by this sudden thought. Maid, time, stop. He couldn't help but mumble these two sentences. As he mumbled, Wu Yan's eyes became brighter and brighter. Chapter 269. A beautiful figure flashed through his mind. Wu Yan's eyes shone brighter and brighter. Happiness started to surface on his face as well. If it was her, it would be a piece of cake for her to clean up this mess. With that thought in mind, Wu Yan's heart calmed down. Ignoring the presence of Kinohara Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku, he opened the system list. Since it's not an existence that's fused with his life, they won't be able to see the system list. Wu Yan didn't have to worry about it. At most, he would just make them feel confused. Just like the three girls, they were confused. After opening the system list, Wu Yan clicked on the summon option. Dragging on the list, an extremely familiar name entered Wu Yan's eyes: 16 Knights Black Knight, Oriental character, the head maid of the fantasy village Red Devil Mansion. Known as the perfect head maid, she is one of the few humans in the fantasy village that is blessed by the gods and monsters. Apart from humans, she is one of the few humans. Summoning points, 100,000. Speaking of maids, there was no one better than 16 Knights Black Knight to have the image of a maid etched into people's hearts. This head maid with the title of Perfect Head Maid is extremely popular. In Wu Yan's heart, Wu Yan wanted to summon her a few times, but due to various matters, he could only put it aside for now. Now that he has enough points and the timing is perfect, if he doesn't summon her now, when will he? Seeing the name, 16 Knights Black Knight, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile. He reached out his finger and clicked on the summon option. This time, it won't be because of other matters that he can't summon her, right? Tapping on the summon option, a joke flashed through Wu Yan's mind in 1,000th of a second. However, this joke soon came true because of Wu Yan's jinxed mouth. Kinohara Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku looked at Wu Yan, who was pointing at the empty space in front of them with a silly smile on his face. Countless question marks appeared on their heads. Kinohara Sayai looked at Wu Yan strangely. Looking at his strange actions, she frowned. She couldn't help but wonder if this guy had gone crazy. Kinohara Sayai's feet clattered as she walked towards Wu Yan and shouted at Wu Yan. Hey! Are you super stupid? Kinohara Sayai's sudden shout startled Wu Yan, who was pointing his finger at the summon option. Thus, the plot that he's so happy to see. Do you still remember? Back then, when he completed Mission 2 of defeating directional travel, the reward for Mission 2 was summon a random character. Now, the start option is at the top right of the list of summons. After being startled by Kinohara Sayai, Wu Yan's hand trembled and he clicked on the start option without hesitation. Wu Yan stared at his hand with his mouth agape. His entire face turned blank from this unforeseen plot. In his heart, it was as if 10,000 grass mud horses were galloping past him. The crappy thoughts in his heart were all destroyed by the grass mud horses. In the end, only 3 words remained in his heart: what the hell? Other than scaring Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, there was no other effect. While Wu Yan's face is alternating between blue and white, red and black, a frame with a border started showing the names of the summoned characters in the summoning list. Furthermore, the names of the summoned characters started flashing one after another at a very refreshing speed. Like a lottery machine, the frame with a side kept flashing. In the end, it got slower and slower. Then, under Wu Yan's deathly stare, it stopped on a name. When he saw this name, Wu Yan's face that was constantly changing colors turned completely black. Then, it turned so pale that his blood vessels could be seen. Why is it her? Looking at the name that stopped at the end of the frame, Wu Yan lost his composure and screamed again. So much so that Wu Yan didn't notice that Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku were looking at him with pity and worry in their eyes. However, Wu Yan didn't have any extra thoughts to train these 3 cute creatures. Right now, his heart was completely anxious. What to do, these 2 words filled his entire mind, making him so anxious that he wanted nothing more than to conjure up a hammer capable of smashing the system into smithereens. His wine-red eyes looked at the random name on the summoning list. Wu Yan's heart couldn't help but tremble. Could it be that the summoned character wasn't strong enough? Or maybe the character wasn't good enough? No. If the character wasn't good enough, then maybe it could be a little bit more. But if the summoned character wasn't strong enough, then there wouldn't be any strong characters in this world. But if such a strong character descends on Academy City, then it would be a disaster. No matter how anxious Wu Yan is, the randomization process is over and the summoned character has been selected. The system's summon list is starting to glow. The glow stunned Wu Yan, who was burning with anxiety. Then, Wu Yan steeled his heart and took out a town return scroll. He crushed it and disappeared under the glow of the town return scroll. Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku were all stunned. They stared blankly at Wu Yan's position where he suddenly disappeared. The 3 of them looked at each other and for a moment, they were stunned on the spot and lost their ability to react. Could it be that he's also a space ability user? Back then, on the beach where the Archangel God's power descended, following a flash of light, Wu Yan's figure suddenly appeared on the beach. A second after Wu Yan appeared, a dazzling light shone from the system summon list in front of Wu Yan that hasn't closed since the beginning. At the same time, the familiar light of summoning appeared in front of Wu Yan. Even though Wu Yan has seen this familiar scene a few times, he still couldn't let his eyes adapt to the intense light of summoning. Under the illumination of the summoning light, Wu Yan couldn't help but raise his hand to block his wine-red eyes from being illuminated by the light. After an unknown amount of time, the light of summoning slowly dimmed. Following the dimming of the summoning light, a small, short figure, under the influence of an unknown power, was slowly drawn out like a painting. First, it was the brush, then the drawing, finally, the figure was painted in color and completely appeared in front of Wu Yan. Looking at the small figure in his memory, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. After the summoning light completed its task, when the small figure was completed, it disappeared. The full appearance of the person that Wu Yan was so anxious to summon finally surfaced. It was an extremely petite and cute little loli. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call her a little loli because her height was much shorter than even the shortest Frenda. She looked like a 10-year-old girl. She had a head of light yellow shoulder-length hair that shone like the sun. The side of her hair was tied into a single ponytail. She wore a very cute beret hat on her head. She wore mostly red, with some white gothic loli clothing. She looked very charming and cute. Her eyelids were tightly shut and her 2 small hands were clasped together in front of her chest. Paired with her delicate and beautiful face, she looked like a sleeping princess. However, no matter how you look at this cute little loli, there was a pair of eye-catching wings on her back. Chapter 270. What kind of wings were they? Actually, it was a little far-fetched to call it a pair of wings because it looked more like a large necklace or a bracelet. Looking at the Luan, it should be a pair of wings. However, the part that was supposed to be the wings had completely disappeared, leaving only the edges that looked like they had once supported the wings. Crystals of different colors hung from the edges of the wings, causing them to emit all kinds of different and unbelievable colors. However, their shapes looked a bit distorted. Character: Flandora. Scarlet abilities: I. Ability to destroy almost any object. Rune card: Vampire bloodline. Strength: A. Endurance. S. Agility. A. Spirit. D. Equipment: Lavatian, Levatin. B. Grade: Level 82. Level 82. Tier 9. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. That's because he was shocked. Other than the Spider Queen, this was the first Tier 9 that Wu Yan had seen in his life. In terms of level, Flandra's level was even higher than the Spider Queen's. Looking at the petite loli who looked like a sleeping beauty, who would have thought that she was a Tier 9 powerhouse? However, Flandra? Scarlet was a Tier 9. Wu Yan was not surprised at all. The reason was because of Flandra's ability. The ability to destroy almost anything. The ability called Sight. The so-called Sight was actually similar to the line seen by the demon eye of death perception. It was the same. Flandra could see the damage points of all objects, which were the so-called Sight. By moving these Sight into her hands and destroying these Sight, Flandra could rapidly disintegrate things that could be touched and untouched. In other words, when Flandra stood in front of you and raised her hand with a smile, the Sight on your body was already in her hands. At that time, she only needed to lightly squeeze it and you would disappear from this world. What a terrifying ability. Although it was different from the demon eye of death perception, it was much scarier than the demon eye of death perception. Because the demon eye of death perception had to rush in front of you to slash you, but Flandra did not need to do that at all. As long as Flandra could see you, your Sight would not be able to escape. Moreover, Flandra was a vampire. Although she was not a true ancestor, she was scarier than some true ancestors. The ability to control eyes, coupled with the vampire's powerful strength and recovery ability, made this little loli into an abnormally terrifying demon king. Yes. Demon queen. This was not an exaggeration at all. Flandra's mental state was a little damaged because she controlled too much power. In other words, Flandra's mental state was not healthy, so she could not control of her ability. To put it simply, it was like the demon eye of death perception that could not be closed. As soon as she saw something that moved, Flandra couldn't help but want to play with it. And the play Flandra was referring to was the bullet screen. Once she continued to play with the other party, she would uncontrollably take control of the other party's eyes and in the end, the person who was playing with her would become the person who was played to the point of being broken, according to Flandora. The consequences were obvious. The ability to control Sight was too scary. Coupled with Flandra's slightly abnormal mental state, even her sister, Remilia Scarlet, could not do anything about it. Scarlet could only bear the pain and lock her up in the basement. Because of this, Flandra spent her entire life in an underground room. This was also the reason why Wu Yan was so anxious when he saw that Flandra was the chosen one. Imagine how dangerous it was for a little girl who could not help but control the target's sight when she saw something that moved, causing her to go overboard and destroy the moving thing. She was an academy city filled with 2.3 million people. Based on Wu Yan's understanding of Flandra, if she runs into the streets, everywhere she goes will turn into a sea of blood. Academy City will also turn into a city of ghosts under the influence of this brat. No one could stop her. No one. Including Alistair and I was. With Flandra's level 82, Wu Yan did not have high hopes for them. Wu Yan had no choice but to use a return scroll and return to the beach. Putting aside the question of whether or not the problem can be solved, the first thing he needs to do is to isolate Flandra. Wu Yan looked at the little figure in front of him with his wine-red eyes. He looked at Flandra's cute little face and couldn't help but feel pity for her. If one didn't look at Flandra's age, then with Flandra's appearance and intelligence, she should still be a spoiled little girl in her mother's arms, jumping around and acting like a spoiled child. Now, due to Flandra's terrifying ability and mental state, even he couldn't help but feel wary of her. He even wanted to isolate her. No wonder Remilia had to bear the pain of locking her in the basement. How nice would it be if he could get along with Flandra? Wu Yan was at a loss. What should he do? He has already summoned Flandre to his side, this is an indisputable fact. However, Flandre is an incomparably dangerous existence, this is also an indisputable fact. Could it be that he had to learn from Remilia and think of a way to lock up Furando? With that thought, Wu Yan's body shook. His eyes narrowed and he slapped his own face. 5 bright red fingerprints appeared on Wu Yan's face. One can imagine how much strength Wu Yan used. Even with the true ancestor's powerful recovery, the 5 fingerprints disappeared in a second. However, the pain still lingered in Wu Yan's mind. I can't learn from Remilia. Never. Clenching his fist, Wu Yan looked at Flandre and quickly opened his system list. Character, Wu Yan abilities, True Ancestor Bloodline, Sword Expert, Cooking Expert, Complete Memory, Chaotic Return to Horizon Dance, Electromaster, LV5, Equipment, Shana of the Holy Temple, C, Dragon Armor, C, Meteor Shower, B, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajaku, Ikaros, Astria, Flandre. Scarlet. Equipment points, 21,000 item points, 200,000 ability points, 1,000 summon points, 220000 level, 67. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the various stats on his character. His mind spun like crazy. With the resources he has, what can he do to turn Flandre back into a normal little girl? Equipment, item, ability, and even summon are being scrolled by Wu Yan at an incredible speed. His eyes skimmed through 10 lines at a glance, trying to find a way to solve this problem. Wu Yan isn't afraid that the system doesn't have a solution. At least until now, the system has never disappointed him. Every time he needs something, Wu Yan can find it from the system. Wu Yan's only worry is that he doesn't have enough points. Fortunately, the system didn't disappoint Wu Yan this time. Sealing bracelet. This item is divided into 2 bracelets, one red and one white. When the wearer wears the red bracelet, the wearer's power will be completely sealed. Only when the wearer of the white bracelet enters the release command through the white bracelet will the wearer of the red bracelet's power be released. Once worn, the bracelet can never be removed or destroyed. Note, the bracelet can only be worn if the wearer is willing and understands the bracelet's ability. If the wearer resists, the bracelet will not be worn. Item points, 200,000. Chapter 271. Sealing bracelet. This item is divided into 2 bracelets, one red and one white. When the wearer wears the red bracelet, the wearer's power will be completely sealed. Only when the wearer of the white bracelet enters the release command through the white bracelet will the wearer of the red bracelet's power be released. Once worn, the wearer will never be able to remove or destroy the bracelet. Note, the bracelet can only be worn if the wearer is willing and understands the bracelet's abilities. If the wearer refuses, the bracelet will not be worn. 200,000 item points. Sealing bracelet. This is great. Wu Yan was overjoyed, but when he saw the 200,000 item points, his face fell. His entire net worth is only 200,000 item points. He shook his head and his expression turned resolute. Now is not the time to worry about the points. He can still earn them, but without the sealing bracelet, Wu Yan really doesn't know how to get along with Flandre-chan. His finger quickly tapped and the item points turned into a cute 0. 2 bracelets, one red and one white, appeared out of thin air and fell into Wu Yan's arms. With one red and one white sealing bracelet in hand, Wu Yan put the white sealing bracelet on his hand and placed it next to the black biocontainment device. Then, he gripped the red sealing bracelet tightly while looking at Flandolo with a serious expression on his face. Next, he has to think of a way to put the sealing bracelet on Flandre-chan. It's complicated to describe, but all that happened in a short period of time. When Wu Yan was done with the above actions, Flandre finally reacted. A small ray of light shot out from Flandre's heart and connected to Wu Yan's heart. The familiar scene of life fusion happened again in front of Wu Yan. When their heartbeats became the same frequency, the ray of light that connected them finally broke apart. The ray of light started to twist in the middle and merged into a small ball of light. It then flew into Wu Yan's body and merged with him. The life fusion finally ended. Two people from two different worlds, two different fates, two different lives, two completely unrelated people, from this moment onwards, gradually became indispensable to each other. Wu Yan's heart was in his throat. His grip on the sealing bracelet tightened. Under Wu Yan's gaze, Flando's eyelids started trembling. She's like a bird that just came out of its shell. She's trying her best to open her eyelids, trying to see the world with her own eyes. In the end, her efforts were answered. Her small eyelids slowly opened and a pair of wine-red eyes that were almost the same color as Wu Yan's appeared in her eye sockets. Her wine-red pupils carried a trace of confusion as if she had just woken up from a dream. She tilted her head and looked around at her surroundings. She raised a small hand and rubbed her eyelids. Seeing Flandrachan's actions after coming to this world, Wu Yan's weak heart trembled and trembled again. He stared blankly at Flandrachan and screamed in his heart. "So cute!" Flandrachan murmured in a daze. Then, the confusion in her wine-red eyes slowly faded away, revealing a clear and bright expression. However, Wu Yan's heart felt heavy. That was because within those clear and limpid eyes, there was also a trace of insanity. Flandrachan lifted her head. She seemed to have thought of something as a happy smile appeared on her face. When she saw Wu Yan standing in front of her, her eyes lit up and the happiness on her face became even more apparent. Flandrachan cheered and she pounced on Wu Yan. Wu Yan looked at Flandrachan with a surprised look on his face. Stunned, Wu Yan watched as Flandrachan drew a beautiful arc in the air and landed on the ground. He quickly came to his senses and pulled Flandrachan into his arms. Wu Yan underestimated Flandrachan's strength. Due to her mental age, Flandrachan didn't know how to control her strength. Wu Yan felt like a truck ramming into his chest. His chest felt heavy from the impact and he almost lost his breath. Rubbing his chest, Wu Yan bitterly smiled. Thank goodness he exchanged for the true ancestor bloodline. Otherwise, with his strength and body, he wouldn't be able to catch this little lowly. Hugging Flandrachan's soft and tender body, Wu Yan felt a wave of pleasure, but at the same time, he also felt a bit confused. Flandrachan kept rubbing her face against his chest. He didn't understand what is going on. Why is Flandrachan so close to me? Could it be that the system knew about my difficulties, so it raised Flandrachan's intimacy level to 100? Thinking up to this point, Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh. Let's not talk about whether or not the system would do something so considerate. The summoned characters aren't like those virtual characters that can only be seen on the screen. They're alive, they're real. Even the system said that there can only be one summon and it's impossible to summon a second one. In other words, every summon is unique. Therefore, they weren't puppets. They weren't existences that could be casually intertwined with the system. The only thing the system could do was to link their fates together with him. That was all. Giving Flandrachan a pat on the back, Wu Yan asked. Flandrachan, did you know me before? Flandrachan might have heard the confusion in Wu Yan's voice because she lifted her head from Wu Yan's chest and looked at Wu Yan. Her two little eyes curved into crescents. She seemed to be very happy that Wu Yan called her Flandrachan. Flandrachan didn't know Big Brother before. Wu Yan got even more confused when he heard that. Then why are you so close to me? Didn't your sister tell you that you shouldn't get too close to strangers? Wu Yan had a weird feeling when he said that. Why does it feel like he's teasing a child? When Flandrachan heard Wu Yan's words, her eyes flashed with nostalgia and resentment. She looked at Wu Yan and said, "Humph, don't mention my sister in front of me." Wu Yan froze for a moment before he bitterly smiled. It seems like Flandrachan has quite a bit of resentment towards Remilia. No matter what, she's the one who locked him in the basement. Even if it's her beloved sister, she can't help but feel resentment towards her. But it's good enough that she doesn't have any resentment towards her. A child's mood can change quickly. Flandrachan put on a smile again in the blink of an eye. Although my sister did say that I shouldn't get close to strangers, Flandre-chan likes Big Brother a lot, so I'm an exception." Hearing her tender voice say the words, "I like it a lot," to him, he couldn't help but feel a bit smug. But it only lasted for a while. If you didn't know me before, why do you like me?" "That's because Big Brother is the one who released Fran from that detestable basement. That's why Flandre-chan likes Big Brother the most." And Flandre-chan sniffed Wu Yan with her little nose. Flandre-chan nestled in Wu Yan's arms and squinted her eyes. She moaned softly as if she's intoxicated. "Big Brother has a familiar scent on you that Flandre-chan likes. It's the same scent as my sister and Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan's summons will be imbued with memories of the system and himself. That's why she's so close to him, because she thinks he's the one who saved her from the abyss of suffering. That so-called familiar scent is probably because he's a vampire as well as a primogenitor. In other words, Flandre-chan's so-called like is just a child's heartfelt joy towards the person who gave them candy." Sighing, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel disappointed. He thought he'd max out her favorability. Chapter 272. Flandre-chan's nose twitched as if she's sniffing a delicacy. The more she sniffed, the more excited she became. She kept rubbing her face against Wu Yan's chest, which amused Wu Yan. From the looks of it, Flandre-chan is just an ordinary little girl who likes to act spoiled. Hugging Flandre-chan, Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan's delicate face. The more he looked at her, the more he liked her. However, Flandre-chan's next words made Wu Yan's happy heart turn cold. Flandre-chan lifted her pretty face and she excitedly said to Wu Yan, "Oni-chan. Can you play with Flandre-chan?" "Play?" It's true, it's normal for a child to say something like, "Play with me." However, Wu Yan knows that the play she's talking about isn't something fun at all. If she doesn't play well, she might lose her life. Even though Wu Yan has an immortal body and is now a true ancestor, he can't help but feel suffocated. Flandre-chan's eyes are the same color as his, but they're filled with hope. Even though Wu Yan knows how dangerous Flandre-chan is, he can't bear to reject her. Sighing, Wu Yan ruffled Flandre-chan's blonde hair. "So, what do you want to play, Flandre-chan?" Flandre-chan's eyes lit up when she heard that. She raised both of her hands and made a cheering gesture. "Big Brother. Flandre-chan loves playing bullet screen games. Let's play a bullet screen game, okay?" As expected, Wu Yan frowned and patted Flandre-chan's back. "Flandre-chan, the bullet screen game isn't something you can play as you please." Flandre-chan's cheerful face turned grim when she heard Wu Yan's words. Her red eyes flashed with a crimson light that's darker than the color of her pupils. "Big Brother, don't you want to play with Flandre-chan?" It's still the same face and the same soft voice. But this time, Flandre-chan's words were followed by a bloody stench in the air. Nothing is happening, the beach is still peaceful, but Wu Yan can see an endless amount of blood rushing towards him. Wu Yan's frown deepened, he suddenly felt Flandre-chan's weight. Of course, if it wasn't for the fact that Wu Yan is a true ancestor and doesn't feel uncomfortable with the smell of blood, it wouldn't be as simple as a frown. Wu Yan sensed that when Flandre-chan said she doesn't want to play with Flan, her mental state seemed to have taken a turn for the worse. Hugging Flandre-chan tightly, Wu Yan's furrowed brows relaxed. He sighed and he raised the red sealing bracelet in front of Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan, who had a weird expression on her face, froze up when she saw the bracelet. "It's so pretty." Flandre-chan reached out and touched the bracelet in Wu Yan's hand. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but for someone like Flandre-chan who likes red, the bracelet in Wu Yan's hand is really pretty. "This bracelet is called the sealing bracelet," Wu Yan said. "Sealing bracelet?" Flandre-chan looked up with a confused expression. She couldn't understand why such a beautiful bracelet would have such a strange name and why Wu Yan would suddenly say something like that. Wu Yan couldn't see the confusion on Flandre-chan's face, he could only smile bitterly in his heart. Who told the bracelet to be worn willingly and knowing the effects of the bracelet? Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan seriously. "Flandre-chan, do you want this bracelet?" "Yes, yes." Flander-chan wants it. Flander-chan didn't hesitate to shout at Wu Yan. She reached out with both hands and grabbed the bracelet as if she was afraid that Wu Yan would put it away. She's so cute, if you want it, I can give it to you. Wu Yan's words made Flander-chan smile again, but Wu Yan's next words made her smile disappear. Flander-chan, this sealing bracelet can seal the power in your body. Flander-chan was stunned. Seal, power? Yes, Wu Yan looked at Flander-chan, then at the white bracelet on his wrist and the red bracelet in his hand. As long as you're willing to put it on, it will seal your power. Without my permission, you won't be able to use your power anymore. Wu Yan sighed for the umpteenth time when he saw Flander-chan's expression. He suddenly looked at her seriously. Flander-chan, if you want to play with me, you must put on this bracelet to seal your power. Flander-chan went silent. She slowly withdrew her hand from the sealing hoop. Her wine-red eyes slowly calmed down and became as calm as an ancient well. I see, Flander-chan lowered her head, her low voice traveled into Wu Yan's ears from under her bangs. Wu Yan's heart went cold again. So Big Brother hates Flander-chan's power just like Big Sister? That's why you don't want to play with Flander-chan? Wu Yan saw how bad Flander-chan's mood got. It's not like that. Before Wu Yan could finish, Flander-chan whispered again, interrupting Wu Yan. Big Sister is like that, Big Brother is like that too. Flander-chan did nothing wrong, so why does everyone hate Flander-chan? It's not like that, Flander-chan. It's your power that's too dangerous. Flander-chan suddenly laughed at Wu Yan's words, but her laughter sent chills down Wu Yan's spine. Hee, Big Sister said the same thing too. In the end, Big Sister locked me up in that annoying room. Now, Big Brother is saying the same thing. Are you going to use that annoying bracelet to lock me up too? It's just sealing your power, it won't lock you up, it's all the same. Flander-chan raised her head and shouted at Wu Yan. Her voice was filled with grievance and madness. You're all the same. Big Sister is the same. Big Brother is the same. Everyone is the same. You hate Flander-chan. Flander-chan wriggled out of Wu Yan's grasp and floated up from Wu Yan's body. Then, she quickly retreated. A pair of twisted but beautiful crystal wings fluttered. Flander-chan floated in mid-air, facing Wu Yan from afar. Two pairs of wine-red eyes stared at each other. Both of them were filled with a bewitching charm. However, the expressions in their eyes were completely different. One pair was filled with seriousness and worry, while the other pair was filled with madness and wariness. Suddenly, Flander-chan's wine-red eyes lit up like a small light bulb. Under the illumination of the red light, Flander-chan's adorable face turned into a horrifying and evil one. Flander-chan let out a sinister laugh that Wu Yan couldn't get used to. Flander-chan stared at Wu Yan with her red eyes and giggled. The words that came out of her mouth made Wu Yan panic. Big Brother, Flander-chan hates you. Even though Flander-chan hates you, Flander-chan still wants to play with Big Brother. If Big Brother doesn't want to play with Flander-chan, then let Flander-chan play with Big Brother. Chapter 273. In the sky, Flan stared at Wu Yan with her glowing red eyes. Her lips curled into a cruel and bloodthirsty grin. Her rainbow-colored crystal wings sparkled as the crystals on her wings clanged against each other, creating a tinkling sound that resembled a bell. Tinkle, 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 heaven and earth seemed to darken in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the darkness faded away and was replaced by a thick red color. The sky is red. The ground is red. Even the clear blue ocean behind Flan turned into a sea of blood in an instant. The entire space was dyed in the color of blood. Flan's clean and tidy clothes looked like they were covered in a layer of blood. From where Wu Yan was standing, he could faintly see blood dripping from Flan's body and soaking the ocean on the ground. That's not real blood, it's just an illusion created by Flan's unique aura. Flander-chan's floating body suddenly came to a stop. Flander-chan could feel the thick blood color, the purest color, stimulating her soul, stimulating her body, causing her to tremble slightly. There's a voice in her heart that's screaming. Destroy. Destroy. Destroy everything. Flandrachan's red eyes were filled with endless madness. She lowered her head and looked at Wu Yan on the ground. She grinned. Saw. Big brother, come play with Flan. The ground where Wu Yan was standing suddenly shook. Wu Yan's expression changed and a spark appeared on his forehead. An invisible wave of iron sand gushed out from the ground and wrapped around Wu Yan's arms and legs. It lifted Wu Yan into the air. Boom! Flan's feet barely left the ground when the ground rumbled. A row of light bullets shot out from the ground and split into countless vine-like whips. They whipped towards Wu Yan. It's the forbidden cranberry trap. One of Flandrachan's rune cards. Wu Yan's scalp tingled when he saw the forest of vine-like bullets. He moved his body and the ground shook again. This time, it's not light bullets but iron sand. The iron sand quickly formed into iron sand swords and they flew towards the vine-like bullets. Boom! 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 A series of continuous explosions rang out from the collision between the vines and the iron sand swords. It was as if firecrackers were being set off. The sounds were extremely frequent. Flan, stop! Wu Yan yelled at Flandrachan. No! Flandrachan refused. At the same time, she used the forbidden cranberry trap again. Countless vines formed in her hands and attacked Wu Yan. Wu Yan gritted his teeth and opened his palm. The iron sand swords formed again. It's another showdown between bullets. However, it's unknown if Flandrachan was being merciful or not. Flandrachan's attack was cancelled out by the Tier 7 Wu Yan's. Wu Yan leaped and landed in front of Flandrachan. He looked at Flandrachan and said seriously, "If you don't stop, I'm going to get angry." Flandrachan froze for a moment before she shouted angrily again. No. No. I don't want to. All this time, I've been alone. No one came to talk to me, no one came to play with me. Flandrachan screamed at Wu Yan. Why did you lock me up? Flandrachan didn't do anything wrong. Flandrachan just wanted to play with Big Brother. Flandrachan, Wu Yan looked at Flan who was yelling at him and he felt pity for her. But he couldn't do anything about it. If he didn't do this, Flandrachan would cause a lot of damage to her surroundings. Maybe subconsciously, Wu Yan didn't want to see this cute little girl do something cruel under the influence of a superpower. That's why sealing Flandrachan's power was necessary. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. Anyway, Flandrachan, can you stop and listen to me? I didn't want to lock you up. Big Brother, you're a bad guy. Flandrachan hates Big Brother. Flandrachan obviously didn't listen to Wu Yan. Her temper didn't show any signs of calming down. She started attacking indiscriminately. 495-year ripple. This rune card, that seemed to have a very meaningful name, actually displayed a terrifying scene. Light bullet. Pure light bullet. But the number of light bullets was enough to cover the sky. Compared to the 495-year ripple, the scene created by Accelerator's ability is so weak. Big Brother. Come play with Flandrachan. A terrifying amount of energy radiated from the projectile. Wu Yan's expression changed again and again when he saw the projectile filling up his field of vision. Wu Yan reached out to Flandrachan and snapped his fingers. Instantly, the iron sand swords turned into normal iron sand and scattered into the sky like a huge wave. However, the 495-year ripple is obviously bigger than the iron sand swords. Wu Yan clenched his teeth and a vein popped up on his forehead. At the same time, an even bigger wave of iron sand came out from the ground to supplement the iron sand swords in the sky. Wu Yan's veins popped up on his forehead and a hint of pain flashed across his eyes. It's a sign that he's having a hard time right now. But to fight against Flandrachan's 495-year ripple is not something he can do normally. Wu Yan can only overdraw his computing power. Anyway, his brain being burned out is nothing compared to the true ancestor's powerful recovery ability. The huge iron sand wave surged towards the light bullet that was falling from the sky and slowly spread out. It was like a big palm that wrapped around the light bullet of the 495-year ripple. Then, it clenched its fist. Following an earth-shattering explosion, the iron sand and light bullets that were enough to form a small ocean were all turned into flowers of light and scattered between the heaven and earth. Under the sparks, Wu Yan's face turned extremely pale. His eyes were bloodshot and his originally red pupils turned even redder. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead and waves of pain came from his head. Wu Yan couldn't help but hold his head. Seeing that the 495-year ripple didn't take effect, Flan wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, she got even more excited. Seeing Wu Yan's pained expression made her even more excited. Licking her lips, Flan giggled. Ha ha ha, this is so fun. Big brother is very strong. But Flan is even stronger. Let's continue playing. Big brother. Holding his head, Wu Yan panted. The blood in his eyes visibly decreased and the pain in his head lessened. That's the true ancestor's powerful vitality and recovery ability at work, repairing Wu Yan's nearly burned-out brain. Holding his head in one of his eyes, Wu Yan looked at Flan in the sky with his remaining eye. This time, Wu Yan's remaining eye shrunk. Flan's lips twitched into a smile of infinite joy. She smiled happily at Wu Yan, just like when they first met. So cute and pure. However, Flan's small hand is facing Wu Yan. She opened her hand. It's this action that made Wu Yan's heart turn cold. If possible, Wu Yan would rather face the barrage of bullet comments than watch Flanderchan reach out her hand to him. Under Wu Yan's pinhole-sized gaze, Flanderchan's hands suddenly clenched. Bam! After a light sound, Wu Yan's body shattered into pieces and turned into a pool of blood. Chapter 274. No one had ever experienced such a feeling before, right? Seeing one's own body shatter into pieces with their own eyes? But Wu Yan is experiencing it right now. Wu Yan didn't even have time to react when Flanderchan grabbed him. He suddenly felt himself flying away and Wu Yan saw his body slowly disintegrating into pieces. What actually happened was that before Wu Yan could react, his head had already fallen right in front of his body. Before he lost consciousness, Wu Yan saw his own body being crushed to pieces. He experienced what it feels like to see one's own body being crushed to a pulp. Flanderchan loosened her clenched fists. She looked at Wu Yan, who was reduced to a puddle of blood, and a bloodthirsty grin appeared on her face. However, that grin quickly disappeared. Flanderchan pouted and said dejectedly, "Ah, Big Brother is broken." Even Big Brother is broken by Flanderchan. This isn't fun at all. Maybe the deceased. Wu Yan heard what she said. Flanderchan froze for a moment before the blood that was splattered all over the place suddenly stopped. Then, under Flanderchan's gaze, the blood started to gather at the spot where it fell. It didn't take long for all the blood to gather and form a blood ball. When all the blood was poured into the ball of blood started to twist. Slowly, it turned into a human figure. Then, organs, bones, and skin started to grow on the surface of the bloody figure at a speed visible to the naked eye. At some point, all the necessary parts have grown out. Wu Yan reappeared in front of Flanderchan. Wu Yan raised his head and looked at Flanderchan. His wine-red eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness and fear. It's too scary. Flanderchan's ability is too scary. Just a second ago, he had only been tormented by the overdraft of his computing power. However, in the next second, he had died once just like that. And the reason why he died was because of Flanderchan's gentle grip. He shuddered at the thought of witnessing his own body being smashed into smithereens and turning into a pool of blood. That kind of feeling is indescribably weird. At the same time, Wu Yan rejoiced for the nth time. Thank goodness he exchanged for the true ancestor's bloodline. Otherwise, his soul would have returned to hell. On the other hand, when Flanderchan saw Wu Yan come back to life, the shock on her face slowly faded away. Instead, it was replaced by excitement. She even bounced around in the air to show how happy she is right now. This is great. Big brother is healed again. Big brother can't be broken. This is great. Listening to Flanderchan's excitement, Wu Yan wasn't happy at all. That's because of Flanderchan's next sentence. Big brother can't be broken. I can play with Flan forever. Forever. Keep playing. This is great. Wu Yan's face gradually crumbled as he listened to Flanderchan's naive and excited cries. He's flipped the table countless times to express his current feelings. Even though Flanderchan was his summon, she was trying to kill him with every move she made. Whether it was the barrage of bullet screens, the terrifying control over her eyes, or her destructive power, they were all trying to kill him. Could it be that Flanderchan didn't receive the system's memories and didn't know that their lives are intertwined? If I die, she'll die too. What's the difference between killing me and killing Flanderchan? Flanderchan must have received the system's memories. There's no doubt about it. Didn't Flanderchan think that I'm the one who saved her? This proves that she did receive the system's memories. But with Flanderchan's personality, even if she knew, she would have forgotten about it by now. Still, Wu Yan knew that even if he told her, it wouldn't do much. Flanderchan's mental state is so easily triggered that she'll probably get even more excited after hearing about it. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yan looked at Flanderchan. There's a hint of anger in his eyes. No one would be in a good mood after being screwed over. If it wasn't for Flanderchan, Wu Yan would have pulled out his meteor shower. Flanderchan, can you stop now? Flanderchan shook her head without hesitation. No way. Why should I stop? It's just the beginning. Just the beginning? Wu Yan bitterly smiled. That's right, Flanderchan is a rank 9 while he's a rank 7. Maybe what happened before was just the beginning. Stop playing, Flanderchan. Be a good girl, okay? When he said this, he almost sounded like he was begging. This fight, let's not talk about whether he can win or not. Even if he can win, he can't bear to do it. But if he doesn't, from the start, Wu Yan kept telling Flanderchan to stop, but was it effective? She's not a human being. Flanderchan's smile faded when she heard Wu Yan's words. She lowered her voice and whined. I'll be a good girl. Big brother is just like big sister. You keep telling me to be a good girl, but I've always been a good girl. I just want to play with big brother, but I really can't afford to play with your so-called play. Wu Yan almost burst into tears. That's why people say that brats are the same as women. Once they're unreasonable, they're the scariest thing in the world. That's why Wu Yan can only smile bitterly. Flanderchan got angry when she saw Wu Yan's bitter smile. Big brother just doesn't want to play with Flanderchan. Flanderchan won't. She wants to play with big brother. Following Flanderchan's angry words, a terrifying aura burst forth from her body once more. This time, it was even stronger and stronger than before. Light bullet. By the time Wu Yan reacted, the only thing left in front of him was the light bullet. Cursing in his heart, Wu Yan quickly retreated. He had no choice but to do so. There's no room for him to dodge the bullet. Ha! With a shout, the lightning responded to Wu Yan's summon. It came out from Wu Yan's body and the violent electricity filled his entire body. Lightning crackled and one could even vaguely hear the sound of thunder. Wu Yan can only rely on his computing power to defend against Flanderchan's barrage. If Flanderchan was an enemy, he might be able to deal with her. But, she's one of his allies, he can only passively defend against her barrage. It's almost the same as the iron sand wave, but this time, it's a net of lightning. Under Wu Yan's control, the dense net of lightning went straight for the barrage of bullets. When the sound of thunder and explosion rang out at the same time, the attack that was powerful enough to destroy the surface of the beach was once again dispersed. Several attacks cancelled each other out. The beach that was weak for both Wu Yan and Flanderchan was miraculously intact. Other than the dust that was blown away by the shockwaves, the beach was miraculously intact. Of course, Wu Yan didn't have the time to care about the life and death of this beach. He can't even control his own life and death right now. How could he have the time to care about the beach? After the first wave of attacks cancelled each other out, Wu Yan was panting heavily again. Enduring the pain in his head, Wu Yan bitterly smiled at Flanderchan. Flanderchan, can't you listen to me just this once? Flanderchan rarely had a cold expression on her face, but it didn't look cold at all. Instead, it looked like she was angry. She snorted and turned her head away. Then, she reached out her hand to Wu Yan. Shocked, Wu Yan wanted to do something, but his body disintegrated again. The ability to destroy everything in its path was truly too horrifying. Chapter 275. In less than a second, he turned into a puddle of blood again. Even with his immortal body, Wu Yan's heart still felt cold. She could decide a person's life and death in 1 second. Flanderchan is too strong, too strong. It's no wonder even that old monster Yakumo Yukari has a headache for Flanderchan in Fantasy Village. Flanderchan was having a headache. Without a doubt, with this ability alone, Flanderchan could easily become the strongest combatant in the Fantasy Village, where Tier 7s were as common as dogs and Tier 8s were everywhere. Other than Yakumo Yukari, she could easily become the strongest combatant. Flanderchan, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind the fact that she was able to kill someone so easily. Instead, she looked at the spot where Wu Yan died with great interest. Her eyes are filled with anticipation. She's waiting for her big brother to come back and play with her again. Wu Yan didn't let her down. He soon appeared in the puddle of blood again. He didn't look too good. After all, without the true ancestor's bloodline, he would have died twice already. The feeling of having one's bones crushed and body falling apart isn't that pleasant. If it wasn't for the fact that Wu Yan's body was falling apart so fast that he didn't have time to feel the pain of his body falling apart would be enough to torture him for quite some time. Flanderchan's face lit up. She clapped her hands to express her joy. Haha. Big brother, you're fine again. Wu Yan clutched the red sealing bracelet tightly in his hand. Even though he died twice to Flanderchan, the sealing bracelet didn't show any signs of cracking. Judging by its sturdiness, the sealing bracelet lived up to its description of being indestructible. Speaking of which, whether it's the sealing bracelet or the biocontainment device, they're just two normal bracelets. No matter how much force I exert on them, they're indestructible. Should I say, as expected of a product from the system? Wu Yan shook his head mockingly and sighed. Why am I still letting my imagination run wild at a time like this? It's no wonder Wu Yan's imagination ran wild. Flanderchan didn't listen to a single word he said to her, and he couldn't do anything to stop this level 82 loli from doing whatever she wanted to do. Seriously, he's at his wit's end. Even when facing Accelerator, who's a tier higher than him, and the unfathomable IOSI, Wu Yan has never felt so powerless. Wu Yan's heart sank when he saw Flanderchan cheering in midair. You really don't want to wear it? Wu Yan gripped the bracelet so hard that it's turning blue. His voice was so low that it came out of his mouth. It's clear how he's feeling right now. Wu Yan's mood is extremely low. Flanderchan's unwillingness to wear the bracelet is the same as losing the chance to live peacefully with Flanderchan. It's been less than half an hour since Flanderchan was summoned. Even though Flanderchan had a good first impression of him, he still died twice. If he let Flanderchan do as she pleases, then would he dare to bring Flanderchan back to Academy City, bring her home, bring her to Chuju, Mikoto, and the others? Faced with this dilemma, Wu Yan felt like he's going to go crazy. Flanderchan, who was cheering, suddenly froze up. Her restless heart calmed down a little. Hearing Wu Yan's low voice, Flanderchan couldn't help but feel sorry for him. No matter what, Wu Yan is the one who saved her from that detestable basement. Plus, he smells like her. Flanderchan might say that she hates him, but she can't bring herself to hate him. Even after living for 495 years, Flanderchan's mind was still that of a child's. Her mental state was similar to that of a 10-year-old or even a 6-year-old child. This little bit of kindness was enough to increase her favorability towards Lin Sanju. However, being in a fantasy land that doesn't conform to common sense and being mentally unstable, Flandre-chan doesn't have the concept of not hurting the people around her. To her, everything that happened before was just a game. However, when she saw the sealing bracelet in Wu Yan's hand, Flandre-chan's calm heart started to stir again. She couldn't understand Wu Yan's thoughts, just like how she couldn't understand her sister's thoughts. She would remember those who treated her well, and she would also remember those who treated her badly. Her sister had locked her up in that room that she didn't like. This was not good to her, so she remembered it. And Wu Yan wants to lock her up because of his own power. That's not good for Flandre-chan either. That's why she's against it, she's disgusted. Even if Flandre-chan doesn't care whether she has the power or not, she still doesn't like it. In other words, Flandre-chan is throwing a tantrum like a child. Even if her childish tantrum has already killed Wu Yan twice. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes started to glow red again. She didn't even greet Wu Yan as she waved her hand. A wave of illusory bullets shot out from her hand. They were indescribably illusory as they flew towards Wu Yan. Forbidden starbow break, star arc break, is coming at him with a shout. Wu Yan's expression changed and he put away his thoughts. He didn't think he could just ignore this seemingly normal and illusory starbow break, star arc break. Wu Yan treated the air like it was flat ground. He tapped the ground with his feet and the iron sand wrapped around his limbs carried him away. He started to dodge the barrage of bullets that were even more frequent than the meltdown atomic bomb. Cold sweat started dripping down his forehead. No matter what, Flandre-chan's bullet barrage covered a wide area. Wu Yan had no choice but to endure the barrage of attacks. He looked like he was in a bad shape. Meanwhile, Flandre-chan had already unleashed another barrage of photon bombs. The barrage of comments covered the sky above Wu Yan. It felt like the end of the world. Wu Yan's figure looked so small and insignificant in comparison to the barrage of barrage. A moment of carelessness and the bullets were already in front of Wu Yan. Wu Yan's figure was submerged in the barrage of bullets. He could vaguely see a flash of blue and white when he was submerged in the barrage of bullets. The explosion reverberated through the sky, accompanied by Flandre-chan's excited screams. Flandre-chan couldn't see what was happening in the center of the explosion due to the smoke and dust. Flandre-chan pursed her lips as she looked at the center of the explosion. After a while, the explosion subsided but the smoke and dust still covered the area. Flandre-chan was a little impatient. She twisted her body in dissatisfaction and shouted at the center of the smoke and dust. "Big brother! Come out!" Flandre-chan got annoyed when no one answered her. She waved her hand and summoned a gust of wind from the side to blow at the dust cloud in the air. Flandre-chan's eyes turned into crescents as she stared at the center of the explosion. She finally found the person she was looking for. However, when the figure appeared, Flandre-chan's body froze. His head was lowered to his chest. His bangs covered his eyes, making it impossible for others to see his expression clearly. His chest heaved up and down, his nose and mouth twitched like a ventilator as he took in large mouthfuls of fresh air. Blood slowly dripped from his shoulder. There was supposed to be an arm there. Under Flandre-chan's gaze, Wu Yan took another deep breath. He slowly raised his head and looked at Flandre-chan with a pair of cold eyes. "Have you had enough fun?" Chapter 276. Are you done fooling around? The cold voice was like a gust of cold wind that blew through Flandre-chan's restless heart. The sudden change in tone was completely different from the caring and comforting tone from before. Flandre-chan was extremely uncomfortable with the sudden change in tone. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes met with Wu Yan's. When she saw Wu Yan's eyes, Flandre-chan's body shuddered. The wine-red color that was supposed to be her own has turned into a golden color. At the same time, an indescribable pressure emanated from Wu Yan's injured body and enveloped Flandre-chan's body. It's a weak pressure to Flandre-chan, but it's enough to make her tremble. Her eyes that were originally filled with excitement and craziness are now filled with fear. Flandrachan's body is still in mid-air. She couldn't help but take a few steps back. She's trying to get away from that weak pressure that instills fear in her. Alas, it's a futile effort. A faint pressure latched onto Flandrachan's body like a parasite. No matter how many steps Flandrachan took back, the uncomfortable pressure still lingered around her body. Flandrachan's little heart started to thump uncontrollably. No matter how weak Wu Yan is, he's still a true primogenitor. A true primogenitor is the pinnacle of existence among vampires. Even though the pressure from a true primogenitor is weak, it's enough to make a vampire like Flandrachan fearful. That's because the pressure comes from his bloodline. Golden eyes, it's a sign that a true primogenitor is using his bloodline to its limit. Dying twice, being crippled once, and having mixed feelings about Flandrachan, Wu Yan's helplessness finally turned into a raging fire that exploded in his heart. Under the pressure of a true primogenitor and Wu Yan's cold tone, Flandrachan's fragile heart crumbled. You. Flandrachan stumbled and landed on the beach. She looked at Wu Yan, who's still floating in mid-air. Her eyes reddened and tears started to flow uncontrollably. You. Big brother is a bad guy. You. Just like big sister. You. Flandrachan placed her tiny hand on the corner of her eyes, causing large drops of tears to roll down her cheeks, soaking the dry sand. Flandrachan wiped away her tears, causing them to roll down her cheeks in an aggrieved manner. Wu Yan's cold demeanor crumbled at the sight of Flandrachan crying. What followed was a deep sense of helplessness. Wu Yan was a little angry that Flandrachan killed him twice and had one of his arms blown off. But seeing Flandrachan like this, he couldn't bear to blame her. In the end, Flandrachan didn't do anything wrong. She was born with great strength, it wasn't something she wanted. It's already pitiful enough that her mind wasn't able to match her strength. What's more, Remilia had locked her up in the basement for so many years because of this. He made it clear that he wanted to seal Flandrachan's great strength. Flandrachan's childish nature made her think that he would treat her the same way as Remilia. It's understandable. Flandrachan is just a child. Thinking about this, the anger in his heart died down. Wu Yan sighed and straightened his body. A ray of bloody light appeared where his arm was severed. Then, his arm healed back to its original state. In a flash, Wu Yan appeared in front of Flandrachan. Wu Yan chuckled and shook his head at the sight of Flandrachan crying. He reached out and gently picked her up. Flandrachan didn't resist Wu Yan's actions, maybe she didn't want to resist in the first place. Wu Yan easily lifted her up into his arms. Wu Yan patted Flandrachan's back and he comforted her. All right, Flandrachan, don't cry, wah. Big brother is a bad guy. He's just like big sister and everyone else. He hates Flandrachan and doesn't want to play with Flandrachan. Flandrachan only wants to play with big brother, wah. Flandrachan's pitiful cries almost broke Wu Yan's heart. Even if he didn't do anything wrong, Wu Yan can't help but call himself a bastard. To Wu Yan, making Flandrachan cry is enough for him to call himself a bastard. Wu Yan patted Flandrachan's back and sighed. Flandrachan, you're wrong. I may not be a good person, but your big sister is definitely not a bad person. Everything she does is for your own good. You liar. You liar. Flandrachan shook her head as if she's venting. Her tears didn't stop and her little mouth was screaming. Big sister is the worst. She doesn't want to play with Flandrachan. She even locked Flandrachan in her room. Flandrachan is very obedient, but big sister doesn't want to play with Flandrachan. Big sister hates Flandrachan, wah. Flandrachan. Wu Yan tightened his arms around Flandrachan. Your big sister locked Flandrachan up because she didn't want Flandrachan to cause trouble. Why would your big sister hate you? She likes you the most, Fran. Flandrachan finally stopped crying when she heard that. Her tears are still flowing, but the amount has greatly decreased. She raised her head and looked at Wu Yan with her red eyes. But Flandre-chan is very obedient, she won't cause trouble. Wu Yan shook his head with a bitter smile. If Flandre-chan was really obedient, she wouldn't have tortured him so much. But she's still a child, she still needs to be coaxed. Of course I know Flandre-chan is very obedient. But think about it. Wu Yan chose his words carefully before he consoled her. Every time your sister brings back a guest from outside, do you play with them until they break? Flandre-chan was startled, she seemed to be thinking about what Wu Yan said. Then, she nodded and said in a pitiful manner. But those people are too easy to break. It's not Flandre-chan's fault. Isn't it your fault if you play with them until they die? Sure enough, this little loli is really something else. Rolling his eyes imperceptibly, Wu Yan could only smile bitterly at Flandre-chan. But it's true that you played with them until they broke, right? Your big sister invited a guest but you played with them until they broke. Of course your big sister is angry but she doesn't hate Flandre-chan. In fact, she loves Flandre-chan the most. Flandre-chan lowered her head and kept quiet for a while. Then, she looked up at Wu Yan with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Big sister, do you really like Flandre-chan? Of course I do. I promise. You don't hate Flandre-chan? Wu Yan nodded with a smile. Flandre-chan stopped crying and looked at Wu Yan expectantly. Then, big brother, do you like Flandre-chan too? Wu Yan smiled, it was a very happy smile. He stroked Flandre-chan's beautiful blonde hair and said with a firm tone. Of course. I like Flandre-chan the most too. Flandre-chan's eyes that were red from crying suddenly lit up. Deep joy rushed into her heart and into her eyes, causing her wine-red eyes to be filled with joy. Really? Really? You don't hate Flandre-chan? Flandre-chan looked at Wu Yan like a child. Wu Yan shook his head helplessly. Flandre-chan, you have to know that no one will hate you. Me too. Flandre-chan finally stopped crying and smiled. Her little face was filled with joy. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's shirt and rubbed her face against it. Then, she closed her eyes in comfort. Rubbing Flandre-chan's head, Wu Yan had a warm smile on his face. His eyes were filled with love and affection. She's still a child after all. Chapter 277. Flandre-chan's unstable mental state slowly calmed down under Wu Yan's comforting words. The blood-stained space slowly faded away as well. The sky once again regained its azure blue color. The earth also shed its monotonous blood color and was dyed with a myriad of colors. Life began to come alive. The ocean that was like a sea of blood also finally regained its original color. Flandre-chan's terrifying aura is gone as well. Heaven and earth have returned to its previous state of calmness. If it weren't for the fact that his clothes are in tatters and one of his sleeves is missing, a newcomer wouldn't be able to tell that such a horrifying scene took place in the bullet screen. Everything returned to normal and Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and bitterly smiled inside. This unexpected summon really messed him up quite a bit. Flandre-chan, who was afraid of Wu Yan's primogenitor aura, suddenly fell in love with Wu Yan's scent. She rubbed her cheeks a few times before looking up at Wu Yan. Big brother, will you play with Flandre-chan from now on? Wu Yan sighed sadly. This time, it's not because of Flandre-chan's words. It's because his clothes are covered in tears and snot from Flandre-chan's rubbing. However, when he saw the bright smile on Flandre-chan's face, Wu Yan felt that it was worth it even if his clothes were dirted 100 times or 1,000 times. After all, Flandre-chan's attack just now had destroyed most of his clothes already. Wu Yan pinched Flandre-chan's nose lovingly and said with a smile, "If you're a good girl, Big Brother will take you out to play right now." Really? Flandre-chan was ecstatic. She nodded repeatedly as if she was afraid that Wu Yan would change his mind. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's tattered clothes and stared at Wu Yan's face with her red eyes. Flandre-chan will listen to Big Brother. Then, Wu Yan handed the red sealing bracelet to Flandre-chan. He looked at Flandre-chan with a serious expression. Put on this sealing hoop, okay? Flandre-chan looked at the red bracelet in front of her. She liked it at first because of its exquisite appearance. Later on, she was afraid that Wu Yan would treat her like how he treated her sister, so she hated the pretty bracelet. Flandre-chan calmed down a bit after Wu Yan talked her out of it. She fell in love with the bracelet once again. A child's mind is just like a woman's face. It changes faster than flipping the pages of a book. Flandre-chan wiped away the remaining tears on her face and nodded seriously. She took the sealing bracelet from Wu Yan's hand and slowly put it on her wrist under Wu Yan's gaze. The red sealing bracelet wrapped itself around Flandre-chan's wrist. The sealing bracelet, which was bigger than Flandre-chan's fist, glowed red the moment it was wrapped around her wrist. Then, under the gaze of two pairs of red eyes, the sealing bracelet shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye until it's the size of Flandre-chan's wrist. At the same time, the red sealing bracelet on Flandre-chan's wrist and the white one on Wu Yan's wrist lit up at the same time. The light disappeared in a flash and the two bracelets returned to normal. When the light disappeared, Wu Yan's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at the white sealing bracelet in his hand, a little confused and a little enlightened. An idea flashed through his mind. Wu Yan slowly raised the sealing bracelet in his hand. Seal. The white sealing bracelet on her wrist glowed brightly, and under Flandre-chan's curious gaze, the red sealing bracelet vibrated and a strange energy flowed into Flandre-chan's body. Flandre-chan could feel the sealing bracelet glowing in Wu Yan's hand. A cold current flowed out of the sealing bracelet and it started circulating inside her body. Following the circulation of the cold current in his body, the powerful energy that originally filled his body slowly calmed down. Under the guidance of the cold current, slowly, it sank into the depths of his body. Flandre-chan was stunned, her red eyes flashed with surprise because the eyes that filled her vision all disappeared. Only when all the energy in his body had sunk into the depths of his body and all the eyes in his eyes had disappeared, did the cold current from the red sealing ring finally stop and sink into the depths of his body as well. The white sealing bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist dimmed until it disappeared. The moment the sealing bracelet in his hand dimmed, Flandre-chan's status in the system changed to character, Flandre. Scarlet. Ability, none, sealed, power, none, sealed, endurance, none, sealed, agility, none, sealed, spirit, none, sealed, equipment, none, sealed, level, 0, sealed, whether it was ability, strength, endurance, agility, or spirit, all of them had become none. Even his equipment column had become none. His level had gone from level 82 tier 9 to level 0. Her vampiric physique has also been sealed away. Aside from her incredible regenerative abilities, Flandre-chan is now an ordinary human. She's no longer a threat to him. The white sealing bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist now has a red border. This red border means Flandre-chan's power is sealed. From now on, as long as Wu Yan commands the bracelet to remove the seal, the red border will disappear and Flandre-chan will return to being a powerful rank 9 lowly. Whenever he wanted to, he could seal it and release it whenever he wanted. It was extremely convenient, especially for someone like Flandre-chan who couldn't control her own power. It couldn't be any more suitable. From the moment Wu Yan and Flandre-chan chose to wear the bracelets, they can never be taken off, they can never be destroyed. In other words, Flandre-chan's power is now in Wu Yan's hands. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief and at the same time, he couldn't help but sigh. What a heaven-defying pair of bracelets. If a super strong person can wear the red sealing bracelet, then the person who has the white sealing bracelet, even if it's a normal person, would have a super strong fighter. Even if it's a normal human, they'll have no choice but to compromise, right? At least this way, he'll still have power. But that's almost impossible. The sealing bracelet's effect is heaven-defying and it's indestructible, but the conditions for it to take effect are equally heaven-defying. One must know the bracelet's effect and be willing to put it on. But who would be dumb enough to put on the bracelet after knowing the bracelet's effect? Only someone as young as Flandre-chan would put on the bracelet under Wu Yan's carrot and stick. That's why it's impossible. Wu Yan doesn't mind. If it wasn't for Flandre-chan's special situation, he wouldn't be interested in controlling someone else's power. Hugging Flandre-chan's small body, Wu Yan's heart is filled with joy. That way, he would be able to bring Flandre-chan home and have her get along with Hinajuku, Mikoto, and the rest. Looking at Flandre-chan, who's feeling comfortable because of the disappearance of the eye, Wu Yan muttered in his heart. From today onwards, you're no longer alone. Chapter 278. Academy City, School District 7. On a certain street, a young man is walking down the street, attracting the attention of passers-by. Their eyes and faces are filled with amazement. If one were to take a closer look, they would notice that the passers-by aren't looking at the young man, they're looking at the sweet and adorable little girl in his arms. When the female passers-by saw the little girl, their eyes immediately emitted the light of love and countless little stars. Some of the more unique women even directly coughed out blood from their noses and lay on the street, unable to get up again. Male passers-by passed by and cast their eyes on the little girl. Their eyes immediately emitted a wolf-like green light. And this group of people, basically, were a little older. As for the younger ones, their eyes would light up and they would embark on a path of no return called Lulakan. Of course, there are some who would look at the young man with the little girl in his arms. However, these gazes are filled with envy, jealousy, hatred, and bone-chilling coldness. The young man who has been baptized by these gazes countless times is already used to it. He's walking down the street with a calm expression, so what if these gazes are twice as hot? Fighting 5 trash, that's all. Young man, or should I say uncle, you're an uncle. Your whole family are uncles. Of course, it's Wu Yan and the little girl is undoubtedly Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck and let Wu Yan hug her. Flandre-chan looked at the dazzling array of shops and buildings on the street and gasped in surprise. In the fantasy village, even in the human world where humans lived, there were very few elements of modern society, living as if they were living in ancient times. Flandre-chan, who had never been to the human world even once, was naturally surprised to see the advanced technology of Academy City. Flandre-chan has never seen such interesting scenery before. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes are filled with amazement and joy. She's like a little girl who's been allowed to play on the streets. She's having fun while laughing. Her bell-like laughter kept coming out of her mouth. It's like a cool breeze, cooling down the hot streets. This can be seen from the smiles on the faces of the passers-by on the street. However, it seems like Flandre-chan's charm isn't just to help people cool off. At least, there's a perverted uncle standing in front of Wu Yan and Flandre-chan. He's here for Flandre-chan. His nostrils are bulging and he's breathing hot air like a mad bull. A pair of loving eyes stared at Flandre-chan, who is in Wu Yan's arms. The perverted uncle crossed his arms and wriggled his body like a snake. He growled and growled. He's asking for a beating. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the wretched uncle took out a comb from his pocket and combed his hair. He pretended to be serious and coughed. However, his series of actions just now had already caused him to lose control of his body. Young man. The perverted uncle took a look at Flandre-chan. His eyes are glowing. He's just an ordinary person, but he's exuding a strong aura. He's shouting at Wu Yan. Please give that lowly, cough, that little girl in your bosom to me to raise. I have 2 chain stores, 5 companies, and several tens of houses in Academy City. People who are commonly known as filthy rich refer to people like me. If you let me raise this little girl, I'll definitely be able to let her live a life of happiness. How about it? Are you tempted? Don't hesitate, just give her to me and I'll take care of her. In the beginning, he still sounded quite righteous when he ignored the words that lowly. However, towards the end, the vulgar uncle's face was already flushed red. His nostrils flared up again, and he was panting like a cow. It was simply disgusting. Wu Yan smirked at the sight of this perverted uncle who tried to stop him and even tried to raise Flandre-chan. Wu Yan smiled at the sight of this perverted uncle who tried to make Flandre-chan live the life of a Fu family. Although he said that he was smiling, there was a thick black aura behind his back. The wretched-looking uncle instinctively felt a chill run down his spine. Before he could react, a fist suddenly enlarged in his line of sight. Following that, it smashed his glasses and sent him flying into the sky like a cannonball with a scream. Then, it violently smashed into a person who was walking out from a corner not far away. The person was smashed to the ground, and the ingredients in his hands were scattered all over the ground. It was as if he had obtained a precious treasure. Oh! No! My special ingredient. I spent all my living expenses this month to buy it. The person didn't care about the blood on his head. Instead, he cared about his so-called special ingredient. It's like he's already used to getting injured. He reached out his hand towards the ingredients scattered all over the floor as if he's trying to keep something. The person looked up at the sky and screamed in pain. Why did someone fall from the sky? Why did it hit me? How unfortunate. Wu Yan's mouth twitched when he heard the familiar screams. He couldn't stay calm. This unlucky guy is a bit far away from me, but if I'm not mistaken, he's the hedgehog head. As for the passers-by around them, they all glanced at the hedgehog head and the wretched-looking uncle who dared to make a move on the little lowly. They all unanimously chose to ignore them. Wu Yan even saw one of the people who wanted to look for him after seeing him injure someone. After understanding what happened, that person ran towards the bruised and swollen uncle and handcuffed him. I'm a disciplinary committee member. I'm arresting you for molesting an underage girl. If you have anything to say, you better keep it to yourself. Your words will determine the severity of your punishment. The person who called himself a disciplinary committee member gave him a thumbs up. It's like he's saying, that was a good punch. His words shouldn't be used as evidence in court but to determine the severity of his punishment. Is this a direct sentence? Although the decision of the wretched uncle who dared to make a move on Flandre-chan was definitely a wise one, why do I feel like I should change my view of Academy City? Speechless, he watched the perverted uncle being dragged away. Yes, he's being dragged away. Wu Yan's heart is throbbing. If his heart wasn't strong enough as a primogenitor, he would have died from a heart attack by now. Flandre-chan giggled as she watched everything unfold. Maybe she knew she was the cause of all this, but she happily told Wu Yan. Oni-chan, I am the one who did this. Those people are so interesting, they're so fun. Wu Yan retracted his awkward expression and he rubbed Flandre-chan's head. He smiled at Flandre-chan. Yeah, are you happy, Flandre-chan? Yes, I am. Flandre-chan said without hesitation. She even cheered excitedly at Wu Yan. Flandre-chan is so happy. There are so many weird houses here, it's so fun. Flandre-chan glanced at the passers-by and after killing a bunch of them with her cuteness, she turned to Wu Yan with a strange look in her eyes. Also, there are so many people here. Wu Yan was surprised. So many people? Flandre-chan nodded vigorously and said in a low voice. Flandre-chan has never seen so many people before. Other than those who came to play with Flandre-chan, Big Sister, Zhuyi, Mei Ling, Patrice, and a person in black and white, I've never seen anyone else. Wu Yan sighed and pinched Flandre-chan's cheeks. Flandre-chan yelped in pain and said with a smile. Then, Oni-chan will bring you around today to see more people, okay? Flandre-chan's eyes lit up and she cheered happily. Okay. Yay! Long live Oni-chan. Chapter 279. Big bro, what's that? That's cotton candy. What about that one? That's a lollipop. What about that one over there? That's a bubble gum. What about that one? That's chewing gum. Wait, you can eat it but don't swallow it. Spit it out. Wu Yan almost died from exhaustion when he finally got the gum out of Flandre-chan's mouth. Wu Yan has to admit that he underestimated the curiosity of a naughty brat, especially a naughty brat who spends all her time cooped up in her room. It hasn't been long since Flanderchan asked Wu Yan a question of, what is 100,000? After answering the question, Wu Yan felt his breathing quicken. Looking at Flanderchan, who's happily licking her lollipop, Wu Yan asked weakly. Flanderchan, you don't know what these are? I don't know. Flanderchan didn't even turn her head as she focused on the lollipop in her hand. Wu Yan felt dejected. A lollipop is more important than him. You've never eaten anything before? Then what do you usually eat at home? Wu Yan continued to walk while holding Flanderchan's small body under the stares of the passers-by. He turned his head to look at Flanderchan curiously. Flanderchan tapped her chin, as if she's trying to recall something. After a while, she answered truthfully. I made a cake and black tea at night. Wu Yan was surprised. He looked at Flanderchan, who's still licking her lollipop. That's it? That's right. Flanderchan giggled at Wu Yan. Wu Yan blushed with shame when he heard what she said. Big Sis said the cake is dessert and can be eaten after meals. The black tea is a meal and Flanderchan only needs to drink that. Oh yeah, the taste of the black tea is the same as that of those who were ruined by Flanderchan. Eyebrows twitching, Wu Yan laughed dryly and wiped the sweat off his forehead. He almost forgot that Flanderchan is a vampire. The black tea should be the same as the one Remilia drank, right? Type A blood or something. Flanderchan didn't know that her words made Wu Yan sweat. She was still talking as if she wanted to say all the things she couldn't say while being locked up in the basement. Although the black tea and cake made by Zhuyi are delicious, Friend thinks that this thing called lollipop is even more delicious. This place is really fun. It's smaller than the Red Devil Mansion, but there are more interesting things here. It's even more fun than the bullet screen. Fran likes it here. Smaller than Devil Red? This was a huge street. Just how big was this Red Devil Hall? Looks like the head maid is really something. She can use her ability to make Scarlet Devil Mansion so big. Wu Yan kept the smile on his face, it's just that it's a little distorted. Stroking Flanderchan's light yellow hair, Wu Yan laughed dryly. Well, as long as you like it. Flanderchan nodded with a smile and started playing with the lollipop in her hand. Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh. Lollipops are really the best thing to use against Lolas. If he knew this would happen, he would have prepared a dozen lollipops before summoning Flanderchan. That way, he wouldn't have been played so badly. Wu Yan forgot that summoning Flanderchan was just an accident. Wu Yan's original intention was to summon the head maid. It's just that he's already forgotten about the head maid title. Even though the head maid is very loving, but compared to the cute loli that he can hug anytime he wants, how can the head maid give him such benefits? I'm afraid I'll be shot to death by the flying dagger. Flanderchan, who doesn't know that she's fallen into the wolf's mouth, kept nodding her head at the lollipop in her hand. Her eyes were full of joy. After living for 495 years, her real age is almost 30 times that of Wu Yan, the person she calls her brother. However, her memories are even more lacking than a 5-year-old child. At least a 5-year-old child can still go out, buy candy, play games, and make friends. Flanderchan, on the other hand, only has memories of her sister Remilia, her sister's friend Patchouli, the maid's 16 knights, the guard Hong Miling, and Black White who came to steal things from time to time. The only thing left in her mind is the lonely memory in the basement. That's why Flanderchan was so happy when she was summoned by Wu Yan and received the memories from the system. She knew that she had left the Red Devil Mansion and even her original world. The people, things, and things she saw while walking around Academy City with Wu Yan are countless times more than the things she has seen in her entire life. To Flanderchan, these few short hours of memories are more than her 495 years of memories. Therefore, Flanderchan crazily took in all the images in her eyes. Ever since she put on the sealing bracelet, her smile never faltered. Today is undoubtedly a very important day for Flanderchan. She got to know about lollipops, cotton candy, and all sorts of other things. More importantly, she got to know the man who has always held her in his arms and brought everything to her, Wu Yan. Flanderchan raised her head and sneaked a peek at Wu Yan. Her wine-red eyes stared at Wu Yan's face. She wants to carve Wu Yan's face into the deepest part of her mind. Flanderchan, who only has her sister and 5 other people, believes that everything Wu Yan has done is enough to engrave himself into the hearts of the few people who still live in Flanderchan's heart. Flanderchan suddenly felt that if she had really broken her brother before, would she still be able to get so many fun things in such a fun place? The answer is no, of course not. Flanderchan felt a shiver down her spine when she thought of this. She grabbed Wu Yan's shirt with her tiny arms and buried her face in it. She's afraid of him. This is the first time in her 495 years of life that Flanderchan is thinking about the cause and effect of something. If Wu Yan knew about this, he would definitely be overjoyed. In the past, Flanderchan would only allow her limited rationality to be dominated by great power. She would follow her heart's desire to find someone to play with, trampling on lives and spilling blood all over her life. Because of her incomplete mind, Flanderchan had never thought about anything seriously. But now, she was thinking about it seriously. What does this mean? This means that Flanderchan's flawed mind is slowly being normalized. His mind at a young age was also gradually maturing. But this was to be expected. Originally, Flanderchan's mental state was unstable because she didn't have the mental state to match her strength. Now that her strength was sealed, the reason for her unstable mental state was also removed. Flanderchan's mental state became normal, and that was to be expected. But when her power is unsealed, will she be as normal as she is now? Feeling someone tugging at his shirt, Wu Yan looked down at Flanderchan and tilted his head in confusion. What's wrong? Flanderchan shook her head and buried her head in Wu Yan's chest. Big brother, can you always play with Flanderchan from now on? Wu Yan felt a bit weird, but he nodded anyway. As long as Flanderchan doesn't play her bullet screen games, Wu Yan wouldn't be willing to part with her. Although it's only been a few hours, Wu Yan has to admit that he's already taken a liking to this naive, romantic, and cute little girl. He tightened his arms as if he was trying to fuse Flanderchan into his body. Wu Yan said in a soft yet firm tone. Big brother will always be with Flanderchan. Always. Yes, always. Chapter 280. With Flanderchan in his arms, Wu Yan stood in front of his own house, staring at the door. He kept sighing as he couldn't lift one of his legs to take a step forward. A lot has happened in the span of one day, but that doesn't mean Wu Yan has forgotten about today's events. With the perfect memory ability, it's hard to forget something like this. If I'm not mistaken, Hinajuku, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria should be going out today. Also, I have to ask. They asked me to clean my house. If I'm not mistaken, Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku should be wearing maid outfits and helping me clean my house. If I'm not mistaken, the house I was planning to clean today was probably turned into a wasteland by Kinohada Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. If I'm not mistaken, Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria shouldn't have gone out until late at night, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Kinohada Sayai and Frenda, those 2 cute girls, are probably still hating me. In other words, they shouldn't be cleaning up after me. In other words, Chuju and Mikoto are already looking at the rubble of the living room. It's his own house, but Wu Yan stood in front of the door for 15 minutes without opening it. It's like he went out to pick up girls and came back late at night, afraid that his wife will teach him a lesson. Other than the aforementioned reasons, the situation is more or less the same. He didn't go out to pick up girls, but he did bring back a loli. It might not be late at night yet, but the sky has been dark for who knows how long. Flanderchan looked at the house in front of her curiously. She looked at Wu Yan with a curious expression. Even after playing for an entire day, this loli who had her powers sealed didn't look tired at all. Seeing Wu Yan staring at the door in a daze, Flanderchan pulled on Wu Yan's sleeve. Oniai-chan, what's wrong? Do you hate that door? Do you want Flanderchan to break it for you? Flanderchan paused for a moment and stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Flanderchan forgot. Flanderchan can't break things anymore. Flanderchan's words successfully pulled Wu Yan back to reality. Wu Yan bitterly smiled and rubbed Flanderchan's head. Onii-chan doesn't hate that door, this is Onii-chan's home, why would Onii-chan hate it? Home? Flanderchan nodded and frowned. Big brother, you're talking about home? Are you going to bring Flanderchan home? That's right. That's right. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. He checked Flanderchan's expression to make sure she didn't see anything wrong with it. Wu Yan laughed dryly. Technically, that's what I meant, but why do I feel like I have committed a crime? Why are you like this? Flanderchan heard Wu Yan's words, but she didn't understand them. However, she understood that Wu Yan was going to bring her home. Flanderchan pouted in dissatisfaction. Flanderchan can still play, why do we have to go home? This time, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat, even his veins twitched. Looking at Flanderchan, who's still in a daze, Wu Yan wanted to flip the table. Play. If this goes on, it'll be late into the night. Onii-chan, let's not go home, okay? Let's take Flanderchan out to play. Flanderchan looked at Wu Yan with teary eyes. She even grabbed Wu Yan's shirt. Wu Yan almost spat out a mouthful of blood from her cuteness. His heart shuddered violently. Wu Yan wants to go home, but Flanderchan doesn't. This is her first time coming into contact with the outside world and learning about all the interesting things out there. Flanderchan, who has lived in a basement for half her life, knows that home is a scary thing. After all, going home meant that she couldn't play anymore, therefore, Flanderchan decided to act cute. Although she didn't know what acting cute was, after a day of interaction, Flanderchan knew that when she put on this expression, her big brother would accept any request from her, no matter what it was. Flanderchan has grasped Wu Yan's weakness very well. Just look at Wu Yan's wavering face and you can tell. But if they don't go home now, this might be the last time he can go out with Flanderchan. Worried that his stance will be shaken, Wu Yan punched himself in the heart. Wu Yan's voice was shaking. He smiled awkwardly and braced himself against Flanderchan's cheat-like expression. Flanderchan, it's dark now and all the fun things have gone home. Flanderchan is such a good girl, it's time for you to go home, it's dark, we have to go home? Flanderchan looked up at Wu Yan in confusion and asked, but why did sis say that we should go out when it's dark? Wu Yan broke out in cold sweat and scolded himself for being such an idiot. He has perfect memory, so why did he keep forgetting the identity of the little loli in his arms? Isn't night the time for vampires to go out? Wu Yan forced a chuckle, but there was an unspeakable guilt in it. He had to do it to make himself look good. Now that he did it, he realized how stupid he was. His house's soundproofing isn't that good. The door in front of him opened with a loud bang. The scene inside the house was imprinted into Wu Yan and Flanderchan's eyes. Flanderchan was stunned and Wu Yan was sweating profusely. The two door gods in his house. No, the two wives in his house are standing side by side, one on the left and one on the right. Their brown eyes and yellow-green eyes were looking at Wu Yan at the same time. There was a smile in their eyes that made Wu Yan's heart skip a beat. But when the two pairs of eyes saw Flanderchan in Wu Yan's arms, who was looking at them curiously, they were stunned and didn't say anything. Their silence made Wu Yan sweat even more. It almost dripped onto Flanderchan's face. Just like that, the house fell silent. Until, Master. Ikaros and Astria came out from inside, and when they saw Wu Yan, their faces lit up and they called out in unison. Ikaros called out in a soft and gentle manner while Astria called out in a cheerful and energetic manner. Ikaros stopped after she called out. She turned her indigo eyes to Wu Yan and Flanderchan in his arms. There was an inexplicable fluctuation in her eyes. At this time, Hinajaku, Mikoto, and Astria, who was also staring at Flanderchan, finally reacted. Their eyes lit up and they shouted in unison. So cute! The sudden shout startled Wu Yan and Flanderchan. Before they could react, Hinajaku, Mikoto, and Astria appeared in front of them. They looked at Flanderchan in their arms and they started shouting excitedly. So cute! So cute. This child. Hey, what's your name? My name is Astria, can I hug you for a bit? Just for a bit. Looking at the three creatures with red hearts in their eyes, Wu Yan's cold sweat started pouring down like a waterfall. Flanderchan stared blankly at Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria, who kept calling out to her. She panicked and tried to grab Chuju and the others. Flanderchan forgot that her powers were sealed. She stared at her hands blankly before she buried her head into Wu Yan's chest. Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria finally stopped. They looked at Wu Yan, who was laughing awkwardly with a dangerous glint in their eyes. Ikaros saw Flanderchan hiding in Wu Yan's arms. She looked at Wu Yan's hands that were holding Flanderchan tightly. She clutched her own chest. I wish I could be like her. Chapter 281. Nighttime, smoothing out Flanderchan's bangs, Wu Yan looked at Flanderchan, who was fast asleep with her thumb in her mouth and her other hand clutching onto his shirt. He couldn't help but grin at the sight of her sweet and adorable sleeping posture. But that smile quickly turned into a bitter smile. For Flanderchan's sake, Wu Yan spent a lot of time explaining the whole story to Chuju and Mikoto. Perhaps it's because Flanderchan is a child, and a child that Hinajaku and Mikoto loves so much. The two girls who are usually jealous of him didn't turn on him for bringing a girl home. Of course, Ikaros played a big part in this as well. Since who knows when, Ikaros has developed a housework ability that's not inferior to a housewife's. While Wu Yan was playing with Flanderchan in Academy City, Ikaros managed to tidy up the ruined living room to the point where it looked like it was brand new. Wu Yan was flabbergasted by this. If it wasn't for the fact that Ikaros didn't have a time ability in her character status, Wu Yan would have thought she's going to become the next head maid. It's also because Ikaros tidied up the living room that Wu Yan managed to escape. If it wasn't for her tidying up the living room, the two girls probably wouldn't want to sleep with him again tonight. No, they don't want to sleep with him anymore. As for the reason, it's because of Flanderchan, who's sleeping in his arms and clutching his clothes tightly. Maybe it's because it's her first time in this world, or maybe it's because her powers are sealed. Flanderchan lost her sense of security and started making a fuss, refusing to sleep alone in a room. Wu Yan can still remember how happy Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria were when they heard the news. They looked at Flanderchan expectantly. The word, sleep with, was almost written all over their faces, but when Flanderchan announced loudly that she wants to sleep with Oniai-chan, the three girls' happy and expectant faces collapsed at the same time, replaced by deep resentment and hatred. Of course, that's for Wu Yan. Thus, under the cold snorts of Chuju and Mikoto and the sound of the door slamming shut, Wu Yan has decided to sleep with Flanderchan tonight. Personally, Wu Yan has mixed feelings about this. He's happy because Flanderchan got close to him and even slept with him. That's a worry, as expected. It's because he didn't get to play the Papapa game tonight. Sighing helplessly, a certain creature whose mind was filled with nothing but Papapa glanced at Flanderchan beside him. When he saw her cute sleeping posture, his heart skipped a beat and he quickly chanted Amitba. Gently pulling Flanderchan's hand away from his body, he removed Flanderchan's thumb from her mouth and tucked her in. After covering her with the blanket, Wu Yan straightened his body. He picked up Flanderchan's beret hat that fell off her head and hung it on the edge of the bed. Wu Yan looked at Flanderchan again. He couldn't help but chuckle. Wu Yan pinched Flanderchan's nose and whispered, "How can you be so cute?" Flanderchan seemed to have sensed someone teasing her in her sleep. She wrinkled her nose in dissatisfaction and turned her body to the side with a smile on her face. Her sleeping posture is even cuter than before. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat and he smiled bitterly. No, cute can't even begin to describe her. Flanderchan, you're breaking the rules. Right after he said that, Wu Yan heard someone knocking on his door. Glancing at the door in confusion, Wu Yan got off the bed. Who is it in the middle of the night? Afraid of waking Flanderchan up, Wu Yan opened his door softly. When he saw the scene outside, Wu Yan froze for a moment before covering his nose out of reflex. His face was filled with astonishment. Master, the one standing outside Wu Yan's door is Ikaros. Of course, if it was just Ikaros, Wu Yan wouldn't have reacted this way. But now that Ikaros is Ikaros maid, he has no choice but to react this way. A set of pure white maid attire wrapped around Ikaros's tall and voluptuous body. The upper part of her chest was wide open, barely covering half of Ikaros's ***. The bottom part was a skirt that barely covered her underwear. Ikaros blushed as she stood in front of Wu Yan. Her hands clutched the hem of her skirt tightly. Her tall and slender body was bashfully pinching the hem of her skirt. Coupled with her oversized maid outfit, she's bashful. Oh my god, that was the only word left in Wu Yan's mind. Is this still Ikaros? That was the second thought that came to Wu Yan's mind. Ikaros. Wu Yan's heart was trembling violently. If he thought that Flandrachan's sleeping posture was against the rules, then Ikaros' shyness is against the rules. Suppressing the urge to turn into a werewolf, Wu Yan gulped and stammered. Ikaros, why are you dressed like this? Hearing that, Ikaros lowered her head bashfully, causing the fire of lust that he tried so hard to suppress to rise by a few notches. Ikaros didn't notice it. She continued bashfully twisting her body and said in a small voice. This is the city's internet. It's saying that men like girls to dress like this. Wu Yan's heart was in tears. Oh my pure Ikaros, why did you go online to read these things? Although, it doesn't look bad, master. Ikaros couldn't help but raise her head when Wu Yan didn't say anything. Seeing Wu Yan's blank face, she started feeling a bit uneasy and she nervously asked. Master, you don't like it? Her shy expression turned into a worried one. Paired with those pitiful indigo eyes and the pure white maid outfit, Wu Yan's heart started to throb again. Rubbing his itchy nose, Wu Yan smiled sheepishly. Not really, I guess it's the other way around. Ikaros's face lit up, she asked softly. Then, master, do you like it? I do like it. Wu Yan hesitantly continued. But, Ikaros, why are you so proactive today? Stunned, Ikaros couldn't help but lower her head and whisper, because, master. Ikaros didn't finish her sentence for some reason but her eyes were glued to Wu Yan's naked Flandrachan. Wu Yan didn't know why but he could guess that Ikaros was a little envious of his interaction with Flandrachan. Wu Yan shook his head with a chuckle. Glancing at the sleeping Flandrachan, he turned to Ikaros with a burning gaze. Exiting the room, Wu Yan closed the door behind him. Ikaros was stunned by his actions and he chuckled. Her hand suddenly reached out and grabbed Ikaros's shoulder. She pulled the maid outfit that was barely hanging on her shoulder to the side and pulled it down. Ah! Ikaros gasped in surprise. A pair of naked bunnies jumped out and bounced a couple of times. This made Wu Yan's heart burn even hotter. Pressing Ikaros against the wall, Wu Yan reached under her skirt and pulled down her panties. Master! Ikaros blushed as she called out to him. Wu Yan quickly cut her off. Keep it down. Before Ikaros could react, Wu Yan forcefully penetrated her, turning her words into moans of agony. Chapter 282. Academy City School District 7, Tokuwadai Dormitory. As we all know, Tokuwadai dormitories are double rooms. Two people live in one room, just like Mikoto and Kuriko. They used to live in the same room. As for now, Mikoto is living in Wu Yan's house. Because of this fact, Kuriko suffered a heavy blow. Every day, she's muddle-headed and crazy, shouting, "Wanisama won't give up on Kuriko," or "Wanisama will come back one day," using these as reasons to defend her right to use the other half of the dormitory. But even so, under the efforts of the great dormitory supervisor, Kuriko's dormitory room is occupied by another person. This rule, even the LV5 Mikoto didn't have this privilege. You can imagine how great the dormitory supervisor is. But in this strict, Tokuwadai dormitory room, there's one room that's an exception. Only one person lives in it. This room is naturally our Jusama, Shokuhu Misaki's room. Even if she doesn't have this privilege, with Shokuhu Misaki's ability to control people's hearts, it's easy for her to make her own room hers. At this time, in the bathroom of Shokuhu Misaki's dormitory, Josama is slowly taking off her Tokuwadai uniform, exposing her voluptuous body to the air. It's obvious she's planning to take a bath. She gently pulled down the white stockings on her thighs. If the scene of her bending down to take off her stockings was seen by those men who have a crush on Shokuhu Misaki, they'll definitely have a nosebleed and never be able to get up again. Shokuhu Misaki casually threw her clothes into a nearby basket, lightly caressed her body. With a confident smile on her face, she walked inside. Hot water dripped down from above, sprinkling on Shokuhu Misaki's voluptuous body. The water droplets hit her soft white skin, creating a splash, following the curves of Shokuhu Misaki's body, creating a beautiful arc. She lightly stretched her thighs. This free and easy movement is extremely seductive, even compared to those super idols. It's even better, not to mention those voluptuous breasts. If Wu Yan was here, he would definitely say that it was a foul. Shokuhu Misaki shook her golden hair to get rid of the water droplets on it. She turned off the shower head, sat down in the bathtub, and closed her eyes in satisfaction, enjoying her favorite time in the bath. After a long time, Shokuhu Misaki opened her eyes and gently stroked her pair of plump breasts. Even if she only used a strength that couldn't even kill a mosquito, Shokuhu Misaki still felt a strange sensation, causing her pretty face to turn red. Sighing, Shokuhu Misaki couldn't understand. It's not like she's never seen breasts bigger than hers, but why is she so sensitive in this area? Because of this, even Shokuhu Misaki herself rarely touches her breasts. Lying in the bathtub, Shokuhu Misaki unconsciously recalled that day when she went on a date with that despicable bastard. Her most sensitive area was caressed by him. She couldn't help but feel annoyed. Shokuhu Misaki fiercely slapped the surface of the water, as if venting something. She angrily said, "That despicable bastard, after taking advantage of me, he didn't even contact me once. What a scum." After venting her anger, Shokuhu Misaki lay back in the bathtub and sighed. "That guy, what is he doing now?" After saying that softly, Shokuhu Misaki said in an annoyed tone, "Probably being all lovey-dovey with that Misaka Mikoto. I really don't understand, what's so good about that pasty middle schooler?" After saying that, Shokuhu Misaki's starry eyes glanced at her voluptuous breasts. She lamented to herself again. "I really don't know who will benefit from this. Why don't you benefit me?" The sudden teasing caused Shokuhu Misaki to lose her composure. She reflexively buried her body in the hot water. Shokuhu Misaki immediately looked towards the source of the voice. "Who is it?" "Oh. You were just thinking about me, now you're asking me who I am?" After hearing the voice again, Shokuhu Misaki finally recognized the owner of this familiar voice. Her eyes flashed with a strange light. Then, she saw a figure standing in front of her bathroom door. Short black hair casually covered his forehead, a pair of wine-red eyes filled with an inexplicable charm. It made that ordinary face look even more handsome. At this moment, those eyes were filled with a smile. Looking at her in the bathtub, he didn't even try to hide the fact that she was naked. He was openly admiring her body. "It's you." Shokuhu Misaki didn't know what kind of emotions she was feeling when she said this. There was joy at seeing the other party, anger at the other party openly admiring her naked body, and also resentment at the other party for not contacting her for a long time. All in all, it's complicated to the extreme. In the end, it's the reserved nature of a woman that won over the other emotions in Shokuhu Misaki's heart. Shokuhu Misaki's face was bright red. She was angry and shy. She shouted at the other party. "What are you waiting for? Get out." Wu Yan turned his head away in disdain. "Tisk, what? You just said that I didn't come looking for you. Now that I'm here, you want me to leave?" Hearing this, Shokuhu Misaki's embarrassment turned into anger. "Then can you please pick a good time?" Wu Yan snickered as he sized up Shokuhu Misaki's jade-like body. He teased her. "Isn't this a good time? I'm glad I picked a good time." Shokuhu Misaki didn't know what kind of expression she should use to face this shameless guy. She only knew that her expression right now must be very interesting. This made Shokuhu Misaki scold herself for being such a disappointment. As the queen of Tokuwadai, a queen who should be confident and free at all times, Shokuhu Misaki was very dissatisfied with herself for being so easily swayed in front of Wu Yan. Perhaps sensing Shokuhu Misaki's dissatisfaction, Wu Yan helplessly shrugged. Well, Queen, don't mind it so much, you've already touched it, looking at it won't hurt. Shokuhu Misaki sighed and buried her body into the water, trying her best to find some sense of security. Wu Yan's words made her even more amusing. Finally, Shokuhu Misaki had no choice but to sigh and bury herself in the water to give herself a sense of security. Even if she thought of herself as a free and easy queen, Shokuhu Misaki still couldn't ignore the fact that her body was exposed to the eyes of a stranger. But, isn't this the most adorable part of her? Her starry eyes met with Wu Yan's pair of wine-red eyes. For some reason, Shokuhu Misaki felt an unusual fondness for his eyes. Every time Shokuhu Misaki would want to look at those eyes, it made her feel very comfortable. But after a while, Shokuhu Misaki shifted her gaze and said to Wu Yan in a bad mood, "You came here at such a good time, what's the matter?" Wu Yan replied in a righteous manner. "Of course I am here to see Jusama." Hearing this, Shokuhu Misaki's starry eyes stared straight at Wu Yan's righteous face. She didn't say anything, she just stared at him. Following the silence, Wu Yan's righteous face became more and more shaky. Under the queen's starry gaze, Wu Yan quickly retreated. "Fine, I do have something to talk to you about." Shokuhu Misaki coldly humphed and turned her head away. She knew he wouldn't come here without a reason. Wu Yan laughed dryly. "What's the matter, say it." Scratching his cheek, Wu Yan kept staring at Shokuhu Misaki's smooth body. "Well, let's not be in a hurry, let's talk about the topic of who should benefit first." Chapter 283. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuhu Misaki blushed. She realized that he might have heard everything she said. "You heard everything?" Shokuhu Misaki pursed her lips. Her starry eyes reddened as she looked at Wu Yan. That's how shy she is. After all, if the other party had heard her words, it meant that her girlish complaints had also been heard by him. This is enough to make Shokuhu Kosama feel embarrassed. Wu Yan put on a smile that isn't a smile on his face, indirectly telling Jusama that he didn't hear her mumbling in the bathroom. Shokuhu Misaki's face turned a deep shade of crimson red. Shokuhu Misaki could only lower her head, lower and lower until it reached her full breasts. Only then did she stop. She was just short of drowning herself in the water and suffocating herself to death. Seeing Kosama acting like a little girl, Wu Yan rubbed his forehead with one hand and made a cute expression. His laughter, however, is a bit strange. It's obvious that he's teasing her. Shokuhu Misaki really wanted to use mind control on him and make him run around naked to relieve her embarrassment. Alas, this beautiful wish of hers was turned into a fantasy because of Wu Yan's electromancer ability. Realizing that Kosama might go berserk if he continues to tease her, Wu Yan stopped before going too far. Keeping his teasing expression, he coughed and walked towards Shokuhu Misaki. Shokuhu Misaki was stunned for a moment before panicking. Don't forget, she's naked right now. A bad feeling rose in her heart. Shokuhu Misaki shrunk back into the bathtub. Unfortunately, the bathtub in the Tokuwadai dormitory isn't big enough for her to retreat. Soon, Shokuhu Misaki realized that she has nowhere to run. "You. What are you doing?" Shokuhu Misaki pretended to be calm as she looked at Wu Yan. Her starry eyes couldn't hide the panic in her heart. Wu Yan's lips curled into a sinister smile. Shokuhu Misaki wanted to warn him, but she was afraid of attracting the attention of the other ladies in the Tokuwadai dormitory. She could only watch as Wu Yan walked towards her, her body curled into a ball. Seeing this, Wu Yan snickered and teased. "What's the matter, Kosama, are you afraid?" Who's afraid?" Shokuhu Misaki wanted to be like before, puff out her chest confidently and speak her mind confidently. Unfortunately, she knew that doing so would only benefit a certain despicable bastard, so she gave up on that thought. However, Shokuhu Misaki, who has always been the strong one, is obviously at a disadvantage because of this. While Wu Yan's jaw dropped, he also noted down Shokuhu Misaki's weakness. After all, Kosama is also an important target of her third mission. And now, it's an even more important opportunity. Realizing this, Wu Yan's heart was suddenly on fire. Even his eyes looked like they were about to burst into flames. Shokuhu Misaki's heart couldn't help but beat faster. Hey, Kosama. Finally, Wu Yan came in front of Shokuhu Misaki. Looking at her dodgy eyes and her seductive body in the bathtub, he chuckled. Just now, you mentioned that you wanted to give them to someone. Can you talk to me about that? Talk your ass. Shokuhu Misaki couldn't help but curse. She couldn't understand how this person could be so shameless. He has a pair of beautiful eyes. What made Shokuhu Misaki even more confused was, even though the other party was so shameless that she wanted to skin him alive, why couldn't she hate him? This is a problem that needs time to be solved. Of course, this is a topic for later. Right now, the most important thing is. Shokuhu Misaki's face was filled with embarrassment and fear. Wu Yan whispered into her ear. Kosama, why don't you give them to me? You. Shokuhu Misaki glared fiercely at him, but her eyes met with a pair of fiery eyes. She panicked again and hurriedly avoided eye contact. Shokuhu Misaki underestimated the intensity of the fire in Wu Yan's eyes. Even when she averted her gaze, she could still feel his gaze caressing her face, her breasts, her entire body. It's like a fiery hand caressing her face, caressing her breasts, caressing her entire body, and so, Shokuhu Misaki decisively handed over the first time in her life. I'll go out first. Realizing that if this goes on, something unimaginable will happen. Shokuhu Misaki steeled her heart and stood up. Thinking that being looked at once is better than being looked at many times, Shokuhu Misaki stood up from the bathtub, lifted her feet and prepared to run out of the door. However, no matter how fast Shokuhu Misaki is, can she be faster than Wu Yan? The answer, of course, is no. Wu Yan isn't surprised by Shokuhu Misaki's escape. If Jisama stayed in the bathtub and curled up like a ball, Wu Yan wouldn't be able to do anything to her. But, now, Shokuhu Misaki flashed by his side. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes flashed as if he could see through his opponent's silhouette. He saw through her weakness and saw through her plans. With quick reflexes, he used Dragon Catcher Hand. Thus, in the next second, Wu Yan grabbed a pair of plump breasts, one in each hand, and he grabbed one in each hand. And Shokuhu Misaki, who thought she could escape with her life, looked at the bathroom door in front of her with a happy expression. But in the next second, her happy expression turned into a heavy moan. The reason, of course, is the pair of hands that grabbed her from behind. Shokuhu Misaki's chest is her most sensitive area. Even a light touch on her chest would make her feel something. Wu Yan's action of grabbing her chest is even more absurd. Shokuhu Misaki's strength was completely drained the moment the hands grabbed her. She didn't even have the strength to stand up. She fell backwards onto a broad chest. No, let go. Shokuhu Misaki pressed her palms against the hands on her chest, trying to pull them away. But it was already the last of her strength. Shokuhu Misaki gasped for breath. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. Wu Yan once again grasped her weakness. Shokuhu Misaki could already see her ending. However, all her thoughts vanished under the pressure of Wu Yan's hands. Her sensitive spots were grasped by Wu Yan. The thing called rationality in Shokuhu Misaki's mind became a luxury item. His hands moved nimbly, followed by a loud moan from Shokuhu Misaki. Shokuhu Misaki's hands that were pressed against her own started moving along with her own. It looked like Shokuhu Misaki was using her own hands to move Wu Yan's hands. And Shokuhu Misaki had no choice but to use her last shred of rationality to say those words. But, even if the meaning was obvious, in this situation, it would only turn into seasoning for the ripples. Under Wu Yan's actions, Shokuhu Misaki finally lost her last bit of rationality. She closed her eyes and turned the pleasure of her body into the most direct sound, forming a beautiful melody. In the bathroom, she played a solo for the man behind her. Chapter 284. Inside the Tokuwadai dormitory, two young ladies of Tokuwadai were chatting and laughing as they walked past the door of a dormitory. However, when their eyes landed on the door of the dormitory, a look of longing flashed past their eyes, because this is the room of their most admired and longed Shokuhu Misaki, their queen's room. For them, passing by Shokuhu-sama's room with no longing in their eyes is unforgivable. However, the two Tokuwadai ladies who passed by the dormitory didn't hear the strange sound coming from inside the door. In the dormitory, the sound of flirting echoed in the room. The sound was not soft, but when it reached the door, it was blocked by the door. It could be seen that the soundproofing effect was not bad. At this time, Wu Yan and Shokuhu Misaki were no longer in the bathroom. Instead, they turned their battlefield to the bed. Shokuhu Misaki's breathing was a little rapid. Wu Yan, who was lying on top of her, could clearly hear her rapid breathing. This was only natural. After all, even for her lady queen, she had only experienced this sort of battle once. As Wu Yan kept teasing her, cute sounds kept coming out of Shokuhu Misaki's moist lips. Because of Wu Yan's hands, she can't even breathe properly. "Queen, are you comfortable?" While his hands kept rubbing her chest, Wu Yan asked Shokuhu Misaki with a devilish smile. It's rare for her to be this weak. If he doesn't tease her a little, Wu Yan won't be able to forgive himself. Shokuhu Misaki's face turned red. This is too magical. It's rare to see her blushing, although a certain someone has been lucky enough to witness it many times. It's just that Shokuhu Misaki didn't have the strength to speak. Her sensitive spots were constantly being electrocuted into the deepest part of her heart, causing her body to tense up like a string, waiting for someone to exert force and snap it. And obviously, Wu Yan is that final force. Unknowingly, Wu Yan's hands seemed to be guided by some unknown force. It slid down from Shokuhu Misaki's slender waist and landed somewhere else. Feeling a certain part of her body being caressed and kneaded, Shokuhu Misaki's eyes widened. Her starry eyes were filled with emotions, making Wu Yan's heart tremble. Wu Yan whispered into Shokuhu Misaki's ear. "Jusama, your eyes are so beautiful." Hearing this, Shokuhu Misaki's starry eyes lit up. A faint sense of happiness welled up in her heart. Shokuhu Misaki suddenly didn't feel as fearful as she had been in the past. No one knows about Shokuhu Misaki's past. Who are her parents? What kind of past did she have? What kind of past pushed her to become a LV5 who is second only to a handful of people? No one knows, not even Wu Yan, but, thinking about the endless darkness in Academy City, and Jusama's ability to control people's hearts, one can imagine that Jusama's past is definitely not that good. Ignoring everything else, just looking at Jusama's starry eyes, the emotions she showed towards Wu Yan, it's clear that this pair of starry eyes brought back some bad memories for Jusama. That's why, when Wu Yan said the same thing to her when they first met, Jusama's reaction was so strange, and now, when he said the same thing again, Shokuhu Misaki's heart was filled to the brim. She closed her eyes. Her pair of soft breasts actually stuck out, as if they're offering themselves up for Wu Yan to play with. Wu Yan can feel that something's different about Shokuhu Misaki, but that doesn't stop Wu Yan from continuing with what he's about to do. Shokuhu Misaki's pair of soft breasts, they're just too beautiful. The softness in his hand is constantly attracting Wu Yan's hand, making his fingers move involuntarily, and each of his movements would make Shokuhu Misaki's body tremble. Heavy muffled moans came out from between Shokuhu Misaki's fingers. The feeling in her chest, as well as a certain part of her lower body, made Shokuhu Misaki's heart that hasn't been moved for a long time. It started to feel uneasy. Unable to hold back that feeling, unable to hold back her own voice, Shokuhu Misaki actually took the initiative to kiss Wu Yan's lips. This time, it's Wu Yan's turn to be surprised. His eyes widened, looking at Shokuhu Misaki's pretty face in front of him. Wu Yan couldn't believe it, because this is the first time he's been kissed by someone forcefully. When he came back to his senses, Wu Yan couldn't help but cry. He thought he would be able to gain the upper hand against Jusama. He didn't expect Jusama to be Jusama after all. She's always the one on top, never the one on the bottom. However, such thoughts were quickly drowned out by the pleasure of their tongues intertwining. Wu Yan simply rolled his tongue. entangling it with Shokuhu Misaki's tongue, and then, he fully immersed himself in kissing Shokuhu Misaki. Shokuhu Misaki's little face is completely red, not sure if it's because of shyness, or because of the pleasure of her body, but in short, Shokuhu Misaki at this time is like an ostrich, very cute. Between the overlapping lips, more smooth saliva slowly flowed in their mouths, intertwining two little tongues, but at the same time, it brought great pleasure to both of them, especially Wu Yan. The smoothness of Shokuhu Misaki's tongue made him even more excited. While Shokuhu Misaki's feeling is a little different from Wu Yan's, it's pretty much the same. Shokuhu Misaki never thought that just kissing could bring her so much pleasure. Last time in the amusement park, although she already had a taste, at that time, because it was her first kiss, Shokuhu Misaki didn't have much awareness. She didn't really think about how she was feeling. Now, after seriously kissing Wu Yan, Shokuhu Misaki realized that kissing is such a beautiful thing. In the past, Shokuhu Misaki didn't understand why a woman would need a man to rely on. She thought, even though I'm just a woman, but at the same time, I'm also a queen sama, men are just toys in my hands. With her mind control ability, Shokuhu Misaki has the qualifications to say this. Especially after using her ability to peek into the dirty thoughts in the hearts of those men, she felt that way even more. Now, after kissing Wu Yan deeply, Shokuhu Misaki suddenly understood why a woman would need a man. Shokuhu Misaki couldn't peek into Wu Yan's thoughts, but with her understanding of Wu Yan, she's afraid that Wu Yan's dirty thoughts are no less than those men she looked down on. But, everything in this world is so strange. Shokuhu Misaki, who looked down on men's dirty thoughts, at this time, felt that if it was Wu Yan, she wouldn't be unable to accept it. That's why sometimes, a woman's thoughts are so unfathomable, and so blind. So, they need more love, including Shokuhu Misaki. You're tuning into the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.